Alright, we should be live nowish. Yeah, I believe we're live at this point. Sure, I'll get a note about us. I'm gonna obviously take a second. Alright, cool. I am alive. Alright, so hey, yeah, we are live. Welcome back. You guys will probably be seeing this VOD because I don't think a lot of people are gonna be catching this live, but if people do turn in, welcome. So, yes, like I said in the title, I meant to do these live previous Sunday, the 28th. I missed that, unfortunately. I was out of town driving back, hoping I'd be back home in time soon enough to actually cast them. Was not the case. So I apologize on that. I should be able to get next Sunday, though, pretty comfortably. I don't have anything planned as of now that would interfere with. Regardless, we're getting back at BR6. I do still have a bit of a huge backlog, obviously, but I do want to go through my backlog at some point, but we're going to catch up with what's up to date. And part of the hesitancy on the backlog is, of course, that I know you guys aren't too interested in stuff that's probably pre some of the format and operator changes and roster swaps. So whenever I get to those, let's see. Anyhow, this week, this was last Sunday, so these matches actually got postponed a weekend, in case you were wondering why it's been so long. It's been 2 weeks, not just 1 week between my last stream. That wasn't on me. For whatever reason, I'm not sure why. BR6 was postponed on the 21st, so everything's kind of been pushed forward a week. So these matches were supposed to originally happen on the 21st, they happened on the 28th instead, and I'm getting to them 2 days later. We have 2 matches today. We have Faze versus Red Devils, which will be the first match. And then we have NiP versus Pain Gaming. So, as far as level competition and teams, I believe, as of standing, Liquid, I haven't checked Liquipedia because I don't want to actually spoil the results for myself while I cast this. That would be a bit of a disservice to you guys, too. But I believe as of the time these matches were going down, FaZe was still in first place. I know that for a fact. And I believe Red Devils was in seventh or eighth place. Ninjas in Pajamas, meanwhile, were either in fifth or fourth. They were, I believe, tied with Black Dragons, but I don't know if Black Dragons actually passed them up or not. And Pain Gaming are in seventh or eighth, whichever one Red Devils isn't. So, very similar to Pro League, there is a huge disparity between the level of the two teams in both of these matches. So it's really more of an importance of FaZe and Ninjas in Pajamas want to get these rounds so they can go into the playoff sections, and whereas Red Devils and Pain Gaming, they're just really trying to stave off automatic relegation in BR6. They're still probably going to get relegated, but they don't really have a hope of getting into playoffs. So it's better to go through relegation matches for these two teams than the auto relegation. If I remember my BR6 format correctly, where I believe 8th place is auto relegated, and then 5th through 7th are go through relegation matches, and the top 4 go to playoffs and get to stay in for next season of BR6. Anyhow, without further ado, let's get into the matches, shall we? The first map is going to be on Bank. I am curious to see how FaZe performs on Bank. They've gone kind of back and forth on being a really strong Bank team and kind of struggling against other teams in Bank. This match will also be a good insight into seeing FaZe's ability to perform possibly on an international level in a LAN environment like they're on right now. Granted, their competition isn't as strong as it's going to be during the Milan finals, but nevertheless, we could get some valuable insight into their potential matchup against Stream and how comfortable FaZe is looking when they know they have everything in their control, and whether they can bring that same confidence and look to Milan. We'll have to wait and see, because obviously their level of competition will be much higher than Red. Of course, Red Devils could pull up the upset in this match, but it's unlikely, as different as BR6 results can sometimes be to Pro League. With INTZ being the great example of that, as they are, I believe, currently sitting in third or maybe fourth place, but they are actually qualified for the playoffs as of current. So we're going into the ban phase. Faze is very likely to just go with Hibana and Echo, as they've been doing default 95% of the time, but Red Devils will say, nah, we'll ban Hibana instead. So it does obviously take some of the concern away from Red Devils about whether or not Hibana will get banned or not, but I feel it's a bit of a wasted ban against a team like FaZe, who are probably going to be banning Hibana every single time. Now they get to ban Thatcher, which is, they get more flexibility on their bans. There's the Echo ban, as FaZe will always do an Echo ban on defense. And now Red Devils gets to decide who they want to ban on defense. We might see a Kaid because of Thatcher's ban. We might see a Maestro, a Smoke. So Latin America is probably the one region that heavily bans Smoke a lot of the time. Like, relative to other regions, you'll see Smoke get banned now and again, but Latin America is the one region that really says that let's try a Smoke ban, despite how difficult it can be on the defense dealing with a Smoke ban. There's a reason he has the highest pick rate across every region in Pro League right now. He's such a essential anchor for denying plants and stalling out the pushes, especially on this basement site of Bank. The other sites, you can argue that Smoke isn't as necessary, but the basement site in particular, Smoke is nigh essential. You can get away with C4s, and they of course do have the Mira on board, which makes playing basement default a little bit easier, but even still, basement can be very difficult without a Smoke on the table. So this match could shift attacker favored pretty damn quickly just because of that one ban. Of course, Red Devils probably has some plan of what they want to do, considering they were the ones to ban out the Smoke, but it might also just be a try something crazy to catch FaZe off guard, because of, on paper, how much better of a team FaZe should be than Red Devils. And what better way to contest that than by trying something crazy? Now, Bank is FaZe's map pick, as you can see up top, whereas the next map will be Border. For those unfamiliar with the BR6 series, I just want to restate, these are best of twos. You get 3 points for winning both maps, you get 2 points for a win and a draw, and both teams get 1 point if they draw both maps or split the 2 maps. So these maps are played back to back. Nothing too crazy from FaZe Clan, although Astro getting a very quick pick onto Zion. Actually, interesting to note that Ion is going to be the one playing the Twitch that Astro is so famous for, as they are likely reading into the Kaid or potential Mira setups, and that's why they're bringing that Twitch drone, since Thatcher isn't on the board for the Kaid. And of course, Twitch drone always being excellent against Mira windows. Still, normally you would see Astro playing onto the Twitch. Instead, he's going to be on the IQ and showing that he's still very well capable of getting a early kill on the other 3-speed operator. There's no Ash on the table right now. They're going to run with the one with a couple more intel options. Now, that is going to be very useful for spotting out these Valk cams, and Valkyrie can be so devastating on a map like Bank. Plenty of places to hide her cameras and provide tons of intel to her team that can be very difficult to remove without an IQ on the board. Ion's going to sacrifice one Twitch drone over to Velvet, but he does now know the Jaeger's position, who seems to actually be getting a bit more aggressive on these stairs, perhaps than he should. Ion, likely reading into this, is going to be going for the kill, but neither player will connect any shots as they do see each other, and it looks like Velvet's going to duck away. Black Eye Cam gets spotted, so Velvet doesn't have intel anymore, so instead he's going to actually still play this aggressively, hoping to catch Ion off guard, but both players are aware of the other. Ion will see the head of Velvet as he shifts around, but it takes one bullet without being able to return any in kind. However, Plant is going down by Yuna during this entire confrontation. Astra will get another pick onto a brew, that's the mirror off the table, and Plant will go down successfully by Yuna, prompting Ion to just abandon Velvet on the stairs as they aren't important anymore. Mav will get a pick onto Midi, and it's all up to VNX in a 2v5 retake. Twitch Drone will take down the mirror, making their retake potential even harder. They do have a backup mirror actually set up that can see a very similar angle, likely reading into a potential Twitch taking it out, or just wanting a place to rotate back to. Yuno will get a pick onto Velvet, and Astro will finish things off with a kill onto VNX. Base Clan will take the first round on their attack. That round showed, I think, a lot of what I was talking about with the smoke ban potentially hampering the defense pretty heavily. As we saw there, Plant got to go down pretty uncontested. It's likely the Mirror tried to throw out a Nitro Cell to try and deny that plant, but she ultimately just died in the process, and Plant went down for free. Without the gas canisters to really stall out that aspect of the round and prevent the attackers from getting their plants off easily, that round, that attack can just boil down to play it completely default on the attack, open up the wall as Thermite, back your way in, plant at the very edge of the wall, don't have to worry about a smoke, run away if you hear the rip of a C4, and then just plant. They might have had the Meister set up on the long angle, but it still didn't pay off. As, yeah, they do actually have that angle opened up, but it looks like the Meister just wasn't able to land the shots on what is, in fairness, a very long pixel angle. You don't really see what you're shooting at 95% of the time when you're taking that shot. Red Devils will reattempt this basement site. Now, while not necessarily a bad sign this early on, you do typically want to win your basement, so there's no real harm in going for it on a second try. Red Devils is a bit notorious now for banging their heads against the wall until something hopefully works, even if it doesn't look like it's ever going to work. They did this on their Clubhouse game a couple weeks back in Pro League, where they went to basement side, I believe, 5 times and only won it once, ultimately completely costing them the round. Still, this is early on, so we'll see if Red Devils are able to make necessary adaptations to counter Faze this go round. Neither team is going to involve any roster changes. VNX has actually swapped onto the Pulse instead of the Valkyrie. But Ion will shut down Velvet early on, so the Jaeger, who was very good at stalling out time in this very position against Ion last time, has been read like a book, this time by the Twitch, and taken out. This is going to force Midi to now worry about the green stairs, as he no longer has his back covered while playing in Garage. VNX position is going to be useful to brew the Mira to know when to prep a C4. But without a smoke on the board, there's not a whole lot of utility that he can stall out from that position. They don't even have a third Nitro Cell on the board in the form of a mute or something to really make that Pulse position completely worthwhile. Astor does know that the Pulse is playing in gold. He's going to be able to give that information to his teammates, as they do now have full control of the server side they want. There is an ejected mirror window where Mav tried to open up some holes previously. I'm not entirely sure, and Ion will actually work his way into Garage and gun down Midi. Once again, things are looking very poor for Red Devils, as there's 50 seconds left and all the clearing that Faze needs to do has been completed. Nade will be thrown out, but not connect with anything. Bruise will lose a little bit of his health and be forced to push out of position. However, Zion will get a kill onto Ion, bringing things a little bit closer as the two rhyming names finish one another off. And Yuna is just going to continue to be sticking this plant. Abreu can't push up to deny it just quite yet, as the coverage is there, but he will be able to deny it now. Astro, though, will get Zion and down Abreu, so it's all up to VNX in a 1v3. Astro, with another pistol kill, will close out the round handedly. It actually got a lot closer for Red Devils than it looked like possible in what was a 3v5. Abreu, if he had landed his shots on the IQ there, could have been a completely different round, as he's able to deny the plant. Actually, sorry, no, it doesn't even deny the plant. So time, either way, still would not have been on the side of Red Devils. Not entirely sure what the plan was with that mirror window. Yes, if it remained unpopped, it would have slowed down the Maverick, just opening up that wall and given some visual into server from the defensive side, but you can't play someone on that mirror window because they can just be gunned from server or blue stairs easily, or hatch, as that doorway is extremely exposed. And because of that thing's position, you can easily shoot it once you have server control. You don't even expose yourself to any dangerous angles in shooting it, or just open up hatch and shoot it. So, a peculiar choice, and I think a waste of utility from the side of Red Devils, but it won't matter, as they're not going to realize that basement is a lost cause for them, especially without that smoke. It's just, they do not have the utility game to stall out Faze whatsoever. Faze was able to get their executes down with almost a minute left every time. Instead, they're going to opt for the top floor. Another site where smoke is useful, because he's useful on every site, and he will traditionally see a lot of play here, but you can also kind of go without him. So Red Devils might have some better success here. Faze, though, reading into this, has actually swapped Mav now onto the Blackbeard instead of Ledge. He's most likely going to be playing on those northern windows to really force the defenders into difficult positions by cutting off their entire rotate ability. It looks like we're going to have the Maestro Amidi, though, set up with his cameras in a position Kanto often plays at dock by the Penta Banana windows. And Mav's actually going to be on Repel, and on the north side, but on a different set of north side windows than is traditional, holding a much longer angle to them. Zion on the castle, who is instrumental in allowing for some coverage from window play on this site, is going to be going for a lobby side flank to try and get some picks on these repelling players. If he hasn't been droned out, this could be very Faze, as he does have the potential to really get a kill, and he sees one player, and Ion will get gunned down. Is there anyone from Faze available to get the refrag? It does not appear so, as Zion is just going to comfortably be able to rotate out of the lobby. He's taken care of the player on the north side window. He's gotten rid of the FAMAS of the Twitch. The mirror windows will also get to stay up as the Twitch turn is no longer in place, so Zion has definitely swung this round into his team's favor. And with only a minute left, Faze will have to regroup and reassess, having lost their new member. Yuna, though, will get a kill onto VNX, but Zion on a great flank here. We'll see one player get the down, but unable to confirm the kill. But he will get one onto Yuna, so one downed player as Astro able to finish off Zion, but Velvet will take down Mav. Cameraman's going to be at 20 health, as it's all up to these two players in a 2v3. Midi has pushed up and sees Astro and is able to gun down the IQ very rapidly with that Alda. He only has to land one bullet onto the Maverick, and that's going to be an easy job for Midi to close out the round. Zion proving instrumental in his team getting their first defensive win. Just having the game sense and the timing to come up for those flanks at the best moments. Taking care of the player on north windows there quite handedly, and then later being able to push up a square, downing out the Mav. He's unable to confirm the kill, but this kill onto Yuna proving instrumental. Astro doing what he could to try and salvage that round, but ultimately not enough, as against the Alda holding such a tight angle when they're pushed for time, a 3-speed has no chance whatsoever. The Alda actually has, out of the primary automatic weapons, the Alda has the fastest time to kill against 3 speeds at 133 milliseconds. For comparison, I believe Ash's R4C has a time to kill of 142. So a very, very powerful gun that ACOG and 81 bullets, but especially against 3 speeds and 900 RPM. Being able to hold that angle where you know the player has to push from when they're completely rushed for time, Astor would have to land a miraculous pre-fire shot to have any hope of surviving that gunfight. Red Devils feeling rejuvenated after that defensive win, and it couldn't have come any sooner for the team, as they now do have a chance of winning their defensive half instead of simply drawing it. Will now elect to go to open area, likely the most uncommon sight, and we'll see if Faze is ready for this attack. Mira is on the board, which gives this site a lot more utility, and Red Devils is actually going to go for a large-scale roster change, or lineup change, sorry, compared to what they've been running previously. Zion is still going to be on the castle, but MIDI has now swapped onto the Ella instead of the Maestra. They're still going to have some intel available to the team in the form of those Grismots, but the bulk of it is going to be relying on VNX's Valkyrie cameras. Legion Mines can also provide some similar intel, so despite losing the Evil Eyes, they're not too starved, and MIDI is going to get a kill onto Astra. A huge pick early on for the Ella, shutting down the top fragger of Faze Clan, and putting his team at a 5v4 advantage. It seems they have invested heavily into making sure they can maintain control of the top floor, as once those hatches fall the attacking side, defending open area becomes so difficult. Velvet does get droned out, but he also has the intel thanks to his Black Ion, this player playing at the open door. Ion is finally going to get the trade onto MIDI, and Cameraman gets the one onto Velvet as he looks away from the door at just the wrong time. Faze Clan are now up in man count, with Zion on about half HP. So despite losing Astro early on, the members of Faze Clan have shown that they can adapt and come back, putting this round back into their favor quite handedly. Still, they have a minute to push, and the remaining members of Red Devils are nested firmly on site. And it looks like they're actually going to send Zion on another late round flank by opening up that hatch. Cameraman does see the castle barricade and will get a kill onto Zion, who just misses a handful of his shots. Brings Cameraman very low on health, but it's not enough to make the difference, as VNX and Abreu are going to have to hold out on their own against the onslaught of the Faze attackers. Mav opening up everything from above, as the sledge is going to make the life of these players miserable, as he now opens up the castle barricade to the park alley. Ion sees the one player and gets the kill, and Mav will finish things off onto Abreu. Faze Clan going up 3-1. Despite a early pick from MIDI, Faze Clan was ultimately able to just pinch out, kill the remaining roamers very handedly, and then just shut down the site. Zion unfortunately missing his shots here, as the castle took what could have been a salvage of the round, putting things in a 3v3, into a impossible situation for the remaining defenders, as a 2v4 trying to hold out the onslaught, as Mira and Valkyrie is just nigh impossible. And it proved too difficult of a challenge for the members of Red Devils, as they're now going to reattempt the basement site for the third time. Zion has swapped on to the Vigil, so they've abandoned the Kite strat they were running previously. in favor of having more of a roam game to try and stall out Faze for as long as possible. Now, while Faze has been a bit poor on their flank drones and flank watch, they have done an excellent job at pinching out these roamers so far. So we'll see if this adaptation from Red Devils is going to actually bear any fruit. Since if things continue the way they have been, Zion might be quickly and easily pinched out by either Astro, Ion, or possibly Mav, the three players that have really been hunting down the roamers, allowing cameramen and to do their job, just opening up the hatches and the walls as they push in for a take. Mav's going to be on the buck this time around instead of the sledge, likely realizing that without the castle on the board, you don't need the sledge's hammer as much as you did on some of the top floor attacks. Top floor control has been acquired by Faze Clan early on, as Velvet, once again playing in the same position he's played every single time on this defense by Green Stairs, is going to be contested by the same player once again, and that is Ion on the Twitch. But it looks like Velvet's actually going to run away as Zion gets a kill onto Astra. Once again, the top fragger for Faze being shut down early on, and Zion swapped to the Vigil, bearing some fruit for Red Devils so far. We'll see, though, if Faze is able to get the refrag as quickly as they have been before. And they're going to send one player in, but Cameraman will win out that gunfight. He'll take a lot of damage in the process, which is good news for Red Devils, as they do still hold the health advantage. But Faze Clan getting that trade is also going to be just what they needed to pull this round in their favor, keeping man count even, as Ion will drone out the Jaeger, still playing his position more. Nothing new on that front, as the two players are very used to by now how one another pushes, and we'll just see which one wins out the gunfight. Ion pre-firing into the Jaeger's position will prompt Velvet to back off. He has taken about 10 damage. I'm not sure if that was from bullets or from the Twitch drone. He's actually going to fall all the way back down. Something Ion is able to read by his drone. An excellent bounce of the drone, actually, to get it onto the table. I haven't seen those kinds of pebble skipping skills in quite a long time, not since Scouts. We do see that same mirror position set up, so not entirely certain what Red Devils is playing for there, if they're pre-opening that themselves, if that's something that's been opened. Abreu's going to get wall banged as he tries to prep this Nitro Cell, and will get a pick onto MIDI, putting the man advantage into Faze's favor. Abreu is able to be downed by Mav, who picks up another onto Velvet. VNX gets one onto Yuna, but Mav is able to confirm his kill onto Abreu, leaving VNX in a 1v3. Time is on his side, as Diffuser will have to be stuck, and it's not a 1v2, it's actually a 1v1. The VNX just has to find the Twitch. Uncertain how much intel, though, is available to the side of Red Devils, and whether he knows that the Twitch is playing up on this hatch as he starts to stick it, but his foot's going to be spotted out by the Twitch. That's an easy kill for Ion, and Faze Clan goes up 4-1, winning the first half, and now just trying to broaden their lead before the side swap to defense. Red Devils once again failing on that basement side hold. The roam game from Zion actually proved surprisingly effective, but it wasn't good at wasting time, which has been the ultimate enemy of Red Devils. Faze Clan has just had all the time in the world they need in order to get their execute off. Despite killing Astro early on, which was a good pick, and hurting Cameraman quite significantly, Zion still ultimately lost out on his life early enough in the round, and Faze was able to keep the man count in their favor from that point on. Mav playing the hatch and getting just a thin enough angle onto Abreu certainly did not help matters, as the C4 denial was no longer there, and VNX had to be called in to try and do it himself, but by that point, he lost all of his teammates and could not stick the plant by himself. unaware of the position of the Twitch on the match. Red Devils, though, instead of electing to go back to the top 4, the only site they have successfully won, will once again smash their heads up against the rock wall that is the basement site. We have seen this team show this inflexibility time and time again, and it has cost them matches. It is likely the reason why they're at the bottom of the standings in Pro. Well, not the bottom. Pain Gaming did finish below them, thanks in part to Red Devils' first half performance. But as far as second half performances go, I believe Red Devils was up there for having the worst second half performance. I don't think they won a single game in the second half. If they did, I'm misremembering it. Part of that has to do, of course, with the roster loss of their support player of Fitz, who had to go off to military service. They haven't looked like the same team since then, but they also have not shown any flexibility whatsoever in any of their matches, trying to do the same sites over and over again. Mav's going to open up above the Jaeger's position was droned out, but Zion is able to kill the sledge as he drops and tries to catch the Jaeger by surprise. Zion having an alright game, but once again, the same story as Astra's able to pick him off, but this time, Velvet is there to get the trade onto Astra to keep man count in favor of Red Devils, who have gone much more aggressive on their roaming positions this time. Faze Clan have done good at pinching out these roamers, and Zion's going to get a kill onto Midi, taking down the Maestro, who's actually up top supporting the roamers as well, keeping man count now tied. Velvet's going to see the head of Zion, or of Ion, and bring his health down to 50%, but be gunned down eventually by the Twitch, who is expecting a push-up from the stairs, but there is none from a Brew. Cameraman's able to confirm the kill onto Velvet. And man count is now back in Faze Clan's position. Faze Clan, on their roam clears in particular, haven't really been necessarily pushing for a clean and casualty-free roam clear, but quite the opposite. They've been fighting for trades. And ultimately, this has led to man counts working out in their favor, as they only need to win outright one of those gunfights before a potential trade to suddenly have the man count advantage. Still, a lot of time has been wasted by the roamers this time, as the attackers will now have to execute with about 45 seconds, and we still haven't seen the server wall get opened up, and speak of the devil, it has now been opened up by Yuna. Cameraman is now finally getting to work on the hatch, and Faze is working on an accelerated clock due to how long it took them to clear up the top. The best round downstairs so far for Red Devils, but they are still lacking in man count advantage, as the plant attempts are coming out. VNX has prepped the C4, expecting a baited plant. There is none. He'll throw out that C4, but it will not connect, as Cameraman just sprints right on in, leaving a Brew in a 1v3. He's able to get the kill onto Cameraman, as he throws out another Nitrocell to deny the plant, but now there's only 3 seconds left as plant is being committed to. He's going to peek out 0 seconds, and Red Devils able to win out a round. A Brew with a nice 1v3 clutch there at the end, taking advantage of the lack of time available to Faze Clan to get every single kill required and win out the round, keeping Red Devils in this map, as a 4-2 deficit is recoverable compared to what might have otherwise been a 5-1. Red Devils showing a good adaptation for the first time really in this match, in just full-scale investing in their roam presence, knowing that Faze is the team that's going to take the time to clear that out, and you can get some level of a weeding of their players in such a way. By knowing that Faze Clan will fight for those trades, will fight you back and forth, you can hopefully clear out a lot of their members up top to try and bring a man count that is a bit more in your favor, but more importantly, without really any time for Faze Clan to do their execute. They had to rush in, and they tried their best. Cameraman vaulting in to get the kill onto BNX was not able to deny the plant or do much of anything other than just stall out time a little more, but was not able to connect with a Brew. The Mira was not where the cameraman expected, and ultimately a Brew was able to clutch out the round. However, as we go to the side swap now, we're going to see the Mute coming out from Ion. Instead of the Mira that we've seen run on the basement defenses from Red Devils, they're going to be running the Mute. They'll still have, of course, a shotgun available to them for their destruction. They won't be losing out on that. And they can potentially go for some hatches or just drone denial, especially with the Thatcher off the board. We are going to be seeing the Jackal and Zofia, as well as the Finka for the first time in this match. Jackal is, of course, very popular on this map in particular. He's so effective at clearing out those roamers while still bringing a good amount of soft destruction and utility in the form of his smoke nades. But the Finka is going to be very interesting from Red Devils and explain their decision to ban out the smoke, as smoke is, of course, Finka's strongest counter in the game, as you will lose health quite rapidly from a well-timed gas canister while you are under the effects of a Finka boost. We're seeing a similar take so far from Red Devils as Faze had been employing, sending the Maverick up to open up these hatches, but he's only really going to be able to open up one as he did not use his fuel as efficiently as possible on that first open area hatch. So the hatch above site proper will actually stay reinforced. Faze are going to be rotating at a halfway through the round as they now get the call that they have wasted enough time. I believe one C4 was used up from the Pulse. They're only going to have the C4 of the Mute and the Valkyrie available for plant denial. Astro's still trying to figure out a place to set up his deployable shield. Will finally settle on the hallway. Better late than never for the Jaeger, as he'll now push into the position that his Jaeger counterpart on the other team was, but find just about as much success as Zion is able to take off his head cleanly. Astro not connecting any of his shots with the Jackal, who now has control of the green stairs. Cameraman will be called in to hold that position now, very similar to what Red Devils was doing with MIDI, as Yuna will deny the plant from a Brew. VNX will land one onto Ion, followed by another onto Yuna, and Mav will be there to finally shut him down, but not before he's able to down Cameraman, leaving Mav in a 1v3 situation with about 10 health against almost full health attackers. There's not a lot of hope for him as Zion cleanly walks in and guns him down. Red Devils looking a lot stronger on their first attack than they've looked throughout the entirety of the rest of the match, seeming to carry some of that momentum of the last defensive round into their attacking rounds. And FaZe Clan just struggling as much as Red Devils did on that basement side. Red Devils also opted to keep pretty much all of their defenders on site. Now, yes, they did push them into server, but there was no real contention of server for the first half of the round, and it was at the halfway point where FaZe Clan decided to bail out on server room. But ultimately, this gave Red Devils all the time in the world for the rest of their attack as they cleared out the top, cleanly and efficiently, opened up the hatches they wanted, had all the control before they finally started pushing in on the site, but still with plenty of time in their favor. FaZe Clan is going to be swapping Ion onto the Kaid instead of the Mute, so we're seeing once again that similar lineup coming out from the side of FaZe that we saw from Red Devils frequently. It's likely that Ion is going to be running that DMR shotgun, as it's known, in order to make up for the lack of a shotgun now that they've gotten rid of the Mute. They do not have a Mira, so otherwise the only form of destruction and reshaping of the objectives would be in Cameraman's small Bailiff shotgun. But of course, that sidearm is useful, but not necessarily the most effective. And it does look like Ion is going to have that plug shotgun. Although it was only on screen for a second, so perhaps I was looking at the wrong person. We'll see soon enough, I'm sure. Zion, still on this Jackal, will spot out the pulse of Mav, so his position inside of servers is compromised, but it's likely that intel was available via drones to begin with. The pulse pushing up into the dirt tunnel frequently, just long enough to spot out if there's any players, but not long enough to be detected, as he's hoping to deny an early push into server from the sewers. VNX working on the hatches of open area once more, as the maestro of cameraman will be droned out by Zion, who now is clear to push all the way down to the stairs, holding that angle when a potential push from Astro might come out. Although it looks like he might actually be contested by Yuna instead. Finka boosts coming out, but not much being used by them, as it'll just fade without any kills or damage being exchanged by either side. Red Devils seems a lot more uncertain on this attack than they did on the previous ones, as they've stalled out quite hard. The position of the Jackal is known to the defense, as 2 members will be trained onto those stairs, but even server wall hasn't been opened yet by a brew. Zion's going to start smoking some stuff off to cover his push down the stairs. Actually, it looks like it's going to be a bait. He still does know the position of the Maestro, who is on his cams even now, as he throws out his second grenade. A lot of utility being used on the Jackal, and not a lot of time left on the side of Red Devils. We're still in a 5v5 with 30 seconds to go. Plenty of Nitrocell plant denial available to Faze, and as I say it, Yuna will get one onto a brew. Cameraman will tag onto Zion, so that's a Jackal pushing down the stairs taken care of. VNX will land one onto Astro, and Cameraman has been downed, so it's still a 2v3 for Red Devils, as the plant is going down by Midi. Velvet, with good coverage on his teammate, will gun down Mav, and it looks like he downs another player, leaving Yuna in a 1v2, as both of his teammates have been downed. He'll be gunned down as well, and Red Devils getting another attacking win on the board to tie things up at 4 apiece. A very, very clean execute and attack from the side of Red Devils that round. Despite stalling out in the early round and losing some players, they were ultimately able to down out enough other members of Faze that man count was still always technically equal. Good coverage here from the side of the Finka, using that LMG to just constantly hold that angle. And ultimately, that put the last player of Faze in a extremely difficult situation while the plant was being completed in the dying seconds of the round. Once again, we're seeing just how difficult this basement side has become without the smoke on the table. Neither team has really figured out an effective way to stall things out when playing just a simple utility game. The Nitrocells have not been enough to stall out rounds. We'll see if Faze makes the same adaptation that Red Devils made to successfully win this site by investing much more heavily into a roam presence, but they're not going to make any adaptations on their lineups. And they are actually going to be trying for the basement site for a 3rd time in a row. While traditionally the basement site is the site that you want to and arguably need to win in order to win out on bank, with the smoke ban in effect, it's curious that neither team really decided to swap up their playstyle. Keep in mind that by Faze electing to do this a 3rd time, should they, regardless of winning this, whatever site they pick next, they can only play once. So if they, after this round, win or lose, decide to swap onto the top floor, they're not going to be able to play top floor again. So it's also a curious situation, a curious decision in that sense, as whatever their secondary site may be, Faze has effectively locked themselves out of it. Or not Faze. Sorry, Faze. Yeah, Faze has effectively locked themselves out of that site. Instead electing to go to the third floor for a third time, we're actually going to see a Mate 70 Jaeger, as Astra will play those blue stairs. Normally we'll see if there's a form of a shotgun, we'll see the Ella shotgun, we might see Ion. Velvet is going to light up Ion, so speaking of the Kaed. Or we might see something like the Mute or a Smoke if had he been on the table. Operators that have a primary shotgun, but either good secondaries or just, well, as we talk about it, Astra gets a two-piece at the top of the stairs, unable to connect on a brew, but proving to be quite a nuisance for the members of Red Devils to clear out. A very interesting round from the side of Faze that is being unanswered by Red Devils right now. Cameraman does have the position of one player pinned down, but Zion able to land the kill thanks to his Finka boost, and Velvet will follow up with another onto Yuna. So suddenly it's a 3v2 in favor of Red Devils, despite the work of Astro early on in the round. Ion is going for a full rotation all the way to the blue stairs, so unless there's a good flank drone set up, he could potentially clean up this round all by himself. And indeed, he's going to get two, putting Zion in a 1v2 situation as he tries to push in. He does know the position of Ion, but Mav's going to be called to back up the Kaid. Zion does see the pulse, but the pulse will just retreat away as Zion will have to plant with 5 seconds left. Actually, no seconds left. And this should be an easy kill for the side of Faze. He knows the plant is going down, but is unable to spot at the Jackal, who's actually able to run away in his smoke. This might be winnable, but it will not, as Ion collects his third of the round. I really don't have a ton of words for that round. It seemed Red Devils just did not know how to clear out server stairs. And so Astro got 2 kills there. And then Red Devils was just better everywhere else. But once again, they just forgot about server stairs. The location they invested so much effort in gaining control of, they just abandoned. There wasn't even a flank drone set up. There were 2 members dead. Had a single flank drone been set up in server stairs, that push from Ion never succeeds. And the entire round goes their way. Instead, you see the Finka running haphazardly into server stairs, which also was giving away the plant coverage that was supposed to be there for her planter. And yeah, and then Zion playing cat and mouse inside of the smoke, just hiding and somehow getting the plant off and escaping with his life. A peculiar round by every token. And I don't really have much to say to it about it, as Faze will now go on to the top floor. Keep in mind, if they do win this round, they will guarantee themselves the potential of a draw, locking Red Devils out of a full 3 points between both maps. Maximum Red Devils could then gain would be 2 points. Anyhow, moving on from that previous round, which was just its own unique entity, and moving now into the top floor. Now, as I mentioned before, because of Faze's adamant insistence in playing that basement site 3 times, regardless of winning or losing on this top floor, they will not be able to go to this site more. They're going to have to swap onto another site afterwards. Zion has worked his way into open area, playing up to the hatch that Faze Clan open up, likely to allow for some rotations through General Closet. VNX will take a lot of damage early on as he gets into an engagement with Ion playing inside a stock. Ion unable to connect any more shots as Velvet will gun down Yuna, so Red Devils once again having a man advantage in this match. VNX does know that the Doc is still playing his position inside a stock trade, but he's not going to try and capitalize on that information yet. He knows he is one bullet away from death, and he's trying to get his teammate to get in a position to potentially pinch stock trade from the hallway. MIDI, the Zofia, will be playing on these north windows to also work and lock down the defenders of Faze Clan. But Ion landing a nice shot onto a brew from an extremely long angle will bring the man advantage back to a draw. But MIDI will say no to that as he guns down Mav. Grenade will be overcooked, blowing up right above the head of Ion, who does take a little bit of damage, but as Doc is able to heal himself back up, he will spot out the sledge and just has to connect one bullet to win out this fight, which he does handedly. And VNX goes down, keeping things at a 3v3. Zion has worked his way up, and he sees the Doc playing inside a stock trade and is able to collect that kill, thanks in part to the Finka boost, but Cameraman will shut down the Finka right as I talk about her, and Cameraman will get another onto MIDI, the Zofia, leaving Zion in a 1v2 situation, having to clutch out this round to stall off map point. Cameraman did jump out, so his position is compromised, but he has been able to rotate back into the site, while Zion was picking up Diffuser. Astro will see the player spot it out in the distance, and pings are coming out in his favor. He'll connect one through the wall, and Faze Clan puts the map onto match point. And that's going to lock Red Devils out of one of their potential 3 points. They can now get a maximum of 3 points should they tie this map and win the next one. Ion just surviving inside a stock trade without really an effective pinch coming out from the side of Red Devils, who knew the Doc's position at all times but were unable to capitalize. Zion, unsure of exactly what he wanted to do there, just going for a risky plant despite being spotted out, and allowing Aster to win out that gunfight quite easily. Had Zion known the position of the Kaid and possibly tried to push him or hold a better angle, it's possible he could have clutched out that round, as keep in mind, Cameraman had jumped out to deal with the Zofia, so he was rotating and still in lobby during the entirety of that gunfight. So not only was his position known to the members of Red Devils, it was something that could have easily been locked down. Especially if Red Devils did have flank drones set up inside lobby, as is necessary on bank attacks, but especially on this top floor, you do want to have a drone set up in lobby. Regardless, Faze Clan will now move on to the middle floor. Keep in mind, they are now completely locked out of the top floor. They can go basement again, should they so choose, despite basement having an abhorrent, I believe, 2 out of 5 success rate in this match. But regardless, it is an option that they employ. Astro is going to be roaming inside of the open area adjacent to Teller, so we're going to see a bit of a horizontal gameplay from the side of Faze, but they do have Cameraman positioned up top, some of the more traditional vertical play. Yuna will get Zion, but MIDI will trade back onto Yuna, and VNX will connect onto Astro while Cameraman connects onto VNX. So just trades coming out back and forth, but Ion will finally put the main count into one team's advantage by finishing off the downed Zofia. Velvet will spot out the head of Ion, but is unable to connect any shots as he'll take quite a bit of damage and have to rely on his finger boosts to try and sustain long enough to win out a following gunfight, as Red Devils hopes to try and pull this map into still a potential draw. The nade is going to force Ion out of position, but Velvet will give up the angle just before the Kaid pushes in, and the Kaid is able to connect a kill. A peculiar choice by the Finko will leave his teammate of a brew in a 1v3 situation with over half the round to go. Cameraman just holding the angle from above will easily shut down a Brew who was left without any real options in that 1v3 situation, and Faze Clan will win out the first map, guaranteeing themselves a minimum of 2 points. Or sorry, they could still get 1 point should Red Devils win 1 point, but Red Devils will be locked out of a potential 2 or 3 points. They can get at max 1 point, as we'll now move on to the next map that is Border. Red Devils putting up much more of a fight than we've really seen from them in Pro League. So it was a good match to watch from them in that sense, able to fight for frags and trades, but ultimately Faze fought for those trades better and would win out as a result, staying just 1 man ahead at the end of all those trades, despite Red Devils probably getting the opening kill more consistently and more frequently than Faze Clan was able to. However, we will now move on to the next map, which is Border. Keep in mind, Border was Red Devils' map pick, so this map might bode a bit better for the bottom team in LATAM currently. Minus Pain. Pain might be lower than him in BR6. I'm not 100%. We're going to see Faze Clan actually ban out a Ying this time around. It's not their standard Hib, but Hibana is, of course, their most common ban on Bank and in general, but they also play Bank like 90% of the time. Red Devils, though, sticking with their unique bans, will ban out the Buck. The biggest effect this is going to have is, of course, on those armory defenses. You can't send the Buck down below to try to open things up nearly as much. As, of course, on the other side, you can still send in a Sledge above, and he can open everything up with his hammer. But you no longer have to worry about that particular vertical game. But Red Devils, just like on the last match, where they ban out one of Faze's staple bans and then ban something peculiar, will ban something peculiar and then ban out Faze's staple ban of Echo, giving Faze a lot of freedom on whatever they choose to ban now, which will be the Mira, who is, of course, so powerful on Border. Especially with the Buck out of commission, being able to take out those mirrors from below is no longer nearly as easy, and they would really have to rely on the Twitch drone. Now, granted, Faze does have a lot of players both comfortable on Twitch, Ion and Astro, but also very effective with utility. However, now they have the freedom that they might want by just banning out that mirror instead of having to possibly deal with it and trying to come up with how they want to counter it. We are going to, of course, be seeing that armory defense right off the bat. So nothing too surprising there from the side of Faze, who have gone to the most common site. We haven't actually seen a lot of 6 picks from either of these teams in 6. Seems they've just been electing to pick their lineup and roll with it, regardless of the other team being able to see everything they have or not. Now that the smoke is back in play, we're going to see Ion onto that role for the side of Faze Clan, as Red Devils will be running the Capitao for the first time in this match. Capitao being an operator that has quite a bit of utility and has always had quite a bit of utility, but especially in recent times with this new patch that came out a couple weeks back, boosting his ability to clear out positions and cut off defenders so drastically, thanks to the range increase and the property changes on his flame bolts. We aren't going to be seeing the M249 employed by Zion, which is something we've seen a lot of teams electing to run after it received that new scope with the release of Burnt Horizon. Instead, Zion is going to be sticking on Para, which actually will have the angled grip. But Astro popping out at just the right time to kill Midi and Zion, who had been on his drone and wasn't able to get off in time. He will take a lot of damage in the process, escaping with about 1 health. But getting 2 kills onto the Zofia and Capitao was well worth the exchange of health, as Faze Clan is going to be sitting pretty for the remaining 2 minutes of the round, while Red Devils has to regroup and readjust. Their attempted clear of CCTV failing miserably, making that armory wall all the more difficult to remove. Velvet is going to get himself droned into CCTV. But there's no players of Faze that look like they're actually playing inside of CCTV. Everyone is just grouped up on site, waiting for the ingress of the attackers now that they've gotten their man advantage that they wanted, forcing the attackers into a 3v5 attack onto the site. VNX will pick up one onto Ion, and that's the smoke off the board. Arguably the best pick they could get, and with Astro so low on health, this round could easily swing back into a 3v3, as Red Devils does have plenty of time on their side, if nothing else. Still, that time is rapidly ticking away, as they are still being forced to figure out just how they want to attack the site now that they've lost their two most utility-focused operators. They do have smoke grenades in the form of Velvet on the Jackal, and a Brew is actually going to be playing on these vent windows, opening up a tiny hole for him to see through down that angle. VNX will pick up another onto Cameraman, keeping things in a 3v3 and actually giving the health advantage in the favor of Red Devils, as they now push for the remaining 50 seconds of the round. All three defenders have been droned out by a Brew, so their positions are known to the members of Red Devils, as Velvet works his way in through the office side. Astro, getting his third of the round onto VNX, will bring the man count advantage back in the favor of FaZe Clan, as Mav will get another onto Velvet, and Yuna will clean up onto a Brew. So despite a bit of a scary comeback being mounted by Red Devils, it ultimately will fall short by the, I'd say, anchor play of FaZe, but it looked like all of their players were anchoring. So, more so just good defensive rotations and holding on to their angles and just really abusing the fact that they had the man count 100% in their favor. Despite VNX trying his best to get those 2 kills and bring the round back into his team's favor, ultimately, when you have that sheer number of bodies on site, you can just continue to fight for trades, which is what FaZe has shown themselves so adept at doing in this entire match. It's just constantly fighting for trades, taking those gunfights, taking those aggressive stances, but not necessarily taking them to hope to get away and steamroll past, but taking them because they can force Red Devils into a situation where FaZe will trade off the members even if they lose a player. It's likely that when Astro did that run out, he had some form of support somewhere else that could fight for a trade in case his life was lost. But even if not, it's likely that FaZe would have pushed up their aggression another notch to try and get a trade back later on, as that's what they've shown themselves so adept in this entire matchup. Regardless, they will now go down to the workshop and bathroom. Or sorry, workshop and ventilation. Cameraman is already down to half health. It's likely either a missed impact or possibly Velvet playing the long angles, but regardless, doesn't spell good news for the side of FaZe, with their Jaeger already on half health, but at the same time, they haven't been too fussed for these early picks or damage. They've managed to pull things back in the mid and late round every time, thanks to their fighting for trades, as I mentioned before. Have I mentioned they fight for trades yet? Sorry. Regardless, we are seeing Red Devils have to drone out and really take their time to make sure they can get this top control effectively. They are possibly stalling out a bit too, because they know that last time when they started pushing in, a Jaeger ran out on them and gunned down 2 of their players. Zofia is going to be used to take care of this deployable shield, and there is one member of FaZe Clan, I believe that is Yuna, on the Maestro playing back in the small office. He will likely be droned out here shortly, giving MIDI that information to try and push up and clear him out, and indeed that's what the Zofia is going to be doing now. But he shoots just right over Yuna. Astro, though, will gun the Maestro as he gets up, and Zion will follow up 1-to-1 onto Ion, putting Red Devils into the man count advantage once again in this match, and a heavy health advantage as well, thanks to Cameraman being so low. Velvet will pick off Mav, leaving just Cameraman and Astro by themselves. Astro with that unfortunate team kill, and now VNX will finish off Cameraman, putting Astro in a 1v4. As he does push up, he gets one, is able to down on another player, putting things into actually a 1v2. This is salvageable with 50 seconds left. Plant is going down now, and it's unlikely that Astro has that information on his side, as he seems to be lost and just checking every hole that has been set up by the defense up above. He does spot out one player, but Velvet is able to connect the shots, shutting down the Legion and giving Red Devils their first round. So it was actually a good defensive setup from FaZe Clan, investing heavily in that top floor control, but this team kill, as Yuna stood up for some reason despite Astra getting the kill onto the Zofia, really caused things to fall out of control. Because without that team kill, it would have been a 4v4. Maestro would have still been alive. There's a lot that you can do in that situation if you are FaZe Clan. FaZe Clan will be reattempting their secondary site, but this time they'll be running Yuna on the Rook instead of the Maestro. So sacrificing a lot of utility in order to do that. Granted, they still have quite a bit of intel in the form of Mav on the Valkyrie, so it could still be more than enough for the members of FaZe Clan. They also have the Legion, whose goo mines also form as another form of intel, but you're sacrificing quite a bit by dropping that Maestro for Rook, who is arguably one of the least utility providing operators in the game. Yes, his armor is useful for making you a little bit tougher to kill, guaranteeing a down, and giving you better explosive resistance, but Red Devils hasn't been running frag grenades, for one thing, so the last point I made doesn't really apply. And it's most likely that Yuna is just running that for the ACOG and the MP5 to try and contest those longer angles, while still being somewhat expendable because he's no longer a Maestro. We'll see if that pays off, as both Yuna and Midi have taken a bit of damage, likely in some sort of long-range engagement early on. Zion has worked his way up to Metal, as he now tries to push in, and Velvet will get a pick onto Astra. That is the Legion off the board early on, less than a minute down, and Astra has been taken out. This matchup, he's been there or he hasn't been there every round. And this round, he will not be there, and neither will Yuna, as Midi will get a kill onto the Rook from the sandwich window. Red Devils, once again, having a significant man count advantage, as a Brew increases that count even further by getting a pick onto Mav. Cameraman tries to go for a run out, but he's detected as Zion takes down Ion. Midi will be able to easily follow up onto Cameraman, and Red Devils goes up 2-1. FaZe Clan just overly aggressive, and all of them giving away their lives far, far too early on. A very fast round from the side of Red Devils. As a result, they just kind of steamrolled through FaZe Clan in the process. That said, FaZe Clan does now get to go back to their preferred bomb site of the top floor, as they won't have to reattempt this site until later, should they even choose to figure out what's gone wrong. So much aggression coming out from the side of FaZe Clan, and Red Devils not falling for it. Again, we've seen them die to those kinds of aggressive plays, most notably in the first round, the one round that has gone FaZe's way so far in this matchup, when Astro just ran out from the armory door and gunned down 2 players. But This time around, no such luck for the members of Faze. We're seeing a heavy expansion into the offices side from Faze Clan thus far, but it also looks like they're going to be committing some players to CCTV, wanting to invest in almost all of the top floor control. They likely will leave East Stairs alone, as that is a nigh impossible position to hold unless you're apparently Rec, who are going to attempt that and set up a mirror window so they can ignore CCTV and have Laxing play on East Stairs with some castle barricades to protect him. A creative endeavor, but it did not pay off for Rec, and Faze isn't even going to try something. MIDI, well aware of Astra's tendency to run out, will be holding that angle this time as Red Devils pushes their way in. They've read into Faze's aggression, so they're holding these angles much longer, and it pays off as MIDI gets one onto Yuna. Cameraman is there for the trade onto MIDI, so it'll keep things in a 4v4, but Zion is low on the side of Red Devils, while on the side of Faze, Cameraman and Astra are quite low on health. The two players playing inside a CCTV could get pinched out at any moment if they're not careful or don't win out these gunfights. We're going to see Cameraman trying to open things up, but VNX will get a kill onto Mav, putting the man advantage on Red Devils' side, and followed up by Zion getting a kill onto Cameraman, leaving things all up to Astra and Ion in a 2v4. Zion is low, but then again, so is Astra. And once again, this round just seems to be rapidly slipping out of Faze's favor. What they were so effective on Bank, fighting for those trades, getting those refrags, is just not there on Border. Their members seem to be losing their lives so early on thanks to their aggressive plays, as Red Devils has quite aptly read into them and has just held their angles. Ion will get the kill onto Zion, so the two rhyming names will once again have at it. But it's still a 2v3 at the favor of Red Devils, and now Ion is low on health as well. Smoke's going to try and stall out this push from the offices as long as he can. Astro has pushed up to assist his teammate, but he'll be gunned down quickly by Velvet, putting Ion in a 1v3 situation. He knows the position of the Jackal, but is unable to get any sort of angle on him, and VNX will finish things out for Red Devils, who go up 3-1 on their attacking half thus far. So after the first round, where Faze's aggressive strats paid off, it seems that Red Devils is just ready for them, holding their angles, baiting Faze into them, and that's going to cause a tactical timeout, the first of the matchup from the side of Faze Clan. They were likely expecting to win a lot more of their defensive rounds on Border. And being down 3-1, it does not bode well for the #1 team currently in BR6 and the #1 team in LATAM Pro League in general. They're going to have to adjust heavily in order to take this round. The intent behind a lot of their strategies, the roams that they've been setting up, the holes that they've had, haven't necessarily been poorly thought out by any means. But the issue is that the sheer aggressiveness they've been displaying has been getting their players picked off so early on, whether that is from bad positioning or just from running into angles that Red Devils has already been holding is hard to tell from our perspective. But regardless, the members of Faze have been dying extremely early on, and it doesn't look like it's because Red Devils has necessarily pushed in quickly. They're still playing on these peripheries of the site, if not all the way outside, when they get these kills onto Faze Clan, indicating a lot of aggressiveness and bad positioning from the members of Faze. Now, of course, this was the strategy that we saw Faze employ on Bank a lot of the times, but on Bank, Faze fought for those trades. They were getting those refrags, so it didn't matter as much On border, they are struggling hard to actually get those refrags, which possibly has a lot more to do with the map. It's very easy for the attackers to kind of isolate out some of these roamers depending on the positions they're playing. There's not a lot of areas that other members of Faze can come up and try and assist their teammates and fight for that trade on a map like Border compared to Bank. Faze Clan, however, have swapped now to perhaps the most peculiar hold of them all, electing to go for customs and passport. The least played site on Border, and typically for good reason, and it is quite easy for the attackers to just completely pinch out every roamer, or sorry, every anchor on that site, especially once they have the top control that they're going to be wanting. Zion has worked his way all the way into Tellers, and he's going to be trying to push in from this eastern side. Does know about the position of one player playing inside of the workshop area. That is going to be Mav on the Valkyrie, who looks like he's just going to retreat away, perhaps wisely, not wanting to risk that engagement with Zion. Red Devils has just had the pace this entire matchup, as Ion is going to be taken down very low on health, but he will have a teammate come up to support him. In fact, we see 3 teammates all clustered around that position as the Zofia gets down. She's able to withstand herself back up, so health-wise, it's pretty close between the two teams, but not anymore as Astro guns down Midi. Ion, the smoke, is still very low on health, and his position is known, as is Astro and likely Mavs, who was being jackal-tracked earlier. So Red Devils knows that 3 members of Faze have set up with this kind of pinch on that armory balcony, as they do need to maintain control of CCTV for as long as possible. But Zion has just worked his way into sight as he will gun down the Legion of Yuna. He's watching the hatch for a potential peek from the player of Faze playing, and that is Astro, who will win out that gunfight, keeping man advantage in his team's favor. Cameraman going for a run out will spot out one player, that is Velvet, on the Jackal, but is unable to connect enough shots to kill the Jackal and bring him down to about 30 health, while not taking any damage in kind. As we're now seeing gas smoke grenades come out from the side of Red Devils, as they're possibly gearing up for an execute with 46 seconds, but they have not cleared out the map. In particular, Aster, who is still playing up inside of security, and could spell disaster for any potential push, and indeed nothing will come out from Red Devils from that smoke. Cameraman, unable to connect his first shots, will finally connect onto Velvet. Aster will gun down a Brew. VNX will get one onto Cameraman, but it's now up to him in a 1v3 as Aster jumps down and finishes things. Mav will actually land the final shot onto VNX, not the Jaeger. And Faze Clan gets their first round in 3. To try and bring this match back and recapitalize on some level of momentum. And this was the first round we've really seen where Faze, outside of the first round, but this is the first round we've seen since then where Faze has really maintained momentum in this match up, or in this map in particular. We've seen in the rest of these rounds that Red Devil has kind of set the pace and set the man advantage. That looked like things were gearing up that way too, with the Ion on the pink smoke being in an almost certain death position. Thankfully, he had his teammates come in to support him from both sides, and that allowed the smoke to not only escape with his life, but for them to get the kill onto Midi and start to steamroll things in their favor. Faze Clan will now go to their final bomb site, which will be Bathroom Tellers, the other off-site site on this map. It seems they've completely elected to abandon the default sites, which, reminder, they won Armory once, and then they have not won on Ventilation Workshop at all. So the unique decision to go to Bathroom Tellers might prove to be a smarter decision. They are going to expand all the way down into Armory and make sure they're holding up top, of course, on the site, as Border is really a map where verticality is perhaps the most important feature of the map, which is why Red Devils did ban that buck for their defensive half, so they only have to worry about verticality from one side. And Bathroom Tellers in particular is a site that you cannot hold if you invest just on the site proper. They will have smoke playing in the bathroom to try and stall out any pushes into bathroom, as well as run out to smoke off the window into site, as well as the wall into tellers. But other than that, their bulk of their defense is going to be up top. Hence the bandit that has been brought out by Aster to make sure the border wall can't fall as quickly. That triple wall on offices. A slower start from Red Devils than we've really seen in the past few rounds, but Zion has worked his way now into the ventilation side. It looks like he's going to start trying to push through Workshop as he wants to push into the bathroom where the smoke is. He does have to be wary of all these hatches and holes opened up by the defense, which could spell disaster for the Capitao, who is aggressively pushing him. We've seen Zion actually be using this Capitao less in a utility focus and more of an entry frag role, despite, of course, having generally the Jackal, who has now been swapped out for a Finka, but always the Zofia of MIDI available. He's going to smoke off the hatch so that he can now push in, but Ion will get the kill onto a Brew, and follow up with another onto Zion, while Astro will C4 Velvet. FaZe Clan looking alive and looking to lock things out here to keep themselves at a split scoreline in this first defensive half. MIDI will start pushing his way down the bathroom hallway, but without any real coverage from the rest of his team and fighting into a 5v or into a 2v5, it's unlikely that he can really make much happen. All of the top up floor presence of Faze is still in effect as well. Aster's going to spot out the legs of one player and get the down and finish off VNX with his pistol, leaving things all up to MIDI, who Ion will easily clean up with his third of the round. FaZe Clan will tie things up and look like they once again have regained the momentum of this match as they now go to the side change. Red Devils appear to be relying a lot on Zion being able to just enter into the site there and cause some havoc, but as a result, they didn't invest anything into the top floor clear. And that came to hurt them as Ion gunned down Zion and everyone else to try to push from the workshop rotation into bathroom. Ultimately, FaZe just looking a lot stronger in those off-site defenses than they looked on their primary site defense. Perhaps due in part that those sites really do require you to exert more map presence and roam about a bit more freely and aggressively than necessarily Armory or even Bathroom Workshop do. Or sorry, keep saying Bathroom Workshop, Ventilation Workshop do. So that did play in FaZe Clan's favor as they were now able to set the momentum, they were able to set the pace, and ultimately they were able to win those rounds, looking quite dominant on those rounds compared to all of the other rounds that they lost earlier. Not giving away picks early on and just getting pick after pick after pick onto Red Devils as they struggle to clear and push into the site. That said, Red Devils no longer has to worry about clearing as it's their turn to go onto the defensive side. They are going to be defending for Workshop and Ventilation first, as opposed to FaZe, who went Armory first, and as opposed to most teams who will go Armory first. We are seeing that top floor roam, but not necessarily as extensive as we saw from Red Devils. They have not expanded into the offices side or at all into CCTV. They're going to be holding hard on just Archives and Armory, with two of their players set up there. Ion will spot out the black guy and be able to shoot that out. The CCTV information has now been lost for the side of Red Devils. as you know, will use an exothermic charge to try and clear out these roamers up top in Armory. They do know the position of the Legion, who we saw get droned out, playing behind half wall. But half wall is still a very difficult position to clear without the proper utility. They do have frag grenades available, and Cameraman will get a kill onto Zion, prompting Velvet to just rotate away from half wall with his life, not wanting the man count to slip any further away from the side of Red Devils. He won't pull out entirely from the top floor, as doing so would make life hell for the defense down below, and he's actually going to start still playing aggressively on the soft wall. An impact grenade will be used to try and open up small office, as Cameraman has worked his way into the archive side. Velvet gets one onto Ion before dropping away, putting Red Devils back at a 4v4, as Velvet is actually now rotated to metal stairs. His position is known to Cameraman, who's going to start trying to push the Legion, but he'll hit a goo mine instead as Velvet escapes with his life. Red Devils doing good to fight for that trade and get themselves into a 4v4 situation, but it won't last for long as Cameraman spots out the mute, just leaving his head exposed to a pre-opened hole by the side of Red Devils. Poor situational awareness from the side of Midi will cost him his life as Astro works to gun down Velvet, who has been locked into the custom side, and will finally be finished off by Astro, as Mav will pick up another onto a Brew. Faze Clan looking rejuvenated now, as they will finish out the round as Cameraman kills VNX. And Faze Clan take their first lead of the match since the first round, going up 4-3 against Red Devils, who just look lost. They were under extraordinary pressure from the side of Faze Clan, who demonstrated excellent clearing potential up top, pushing their way in and picking off the players of Red Devils one by one in their gunfights. We saw Velvet work hard to hold on to his position up top, and he played around there extremely well. But that was about all that could be said for that entire round from the side of Red Devils. As even despite getting that trade eventually, when the rest of your team is still getting pinched out and dying, it doesn't matter if you get the one trade. You're still going to be at a man count disadvantage, which is something that Red Devils is likely aware of as they now go for their tactical timeout. The momentum has completely shifted away from them. The 3 rounds they won in a row have been answered by Faze with 4 rounds, and they now need to figure out something new to try and catch up to the Latin America team, especially if they want to walk away with 1 point in this match by winning on their map pick. Keep in mind that Faze did win Bank, which was their map pick, so Red Devils, it needs to win on Border of their own map pick if they want to walk away with this from this match with anything whatsoever. We're going to see them attempting the Armory and Archives defense this time around. Velvet is going to be on the Bandit, and we'll see whether or not he chooses to be Bandit tricking on this Armory wall, or perhaps closer to the office side, which is a little bit safer to Bandit on. The lack of a buck available to the side of Faze Clan will make any potential tricking or just stricter anchor play on this site easier for Red Devils, as they no longer have to worry too much about verticality from below. Faze could send in the Sophia of Astro to try and open up in very key locations, but he won't have a lot of utility and versatility down below compared to Buck with that underbarrel shotgun. Still, they have plenty of soft destruction in general available, as Velvet and Cameraman have both actually taken a little bit of damage. That might have been an early spawn peak from the Bandit, who's actually playing very aggressively on this Armory wall, consistently going for pre-fires and shooting down towards CC side, trying to catch members of Faze unawares, but there's no one actually playing actively on the balcony currently. We're seeing a CCTV clear come out from the side of Faze. They have shown themselves to be quite adept at clearing out any positions of off-site players from the side of Red Devils. But the only one completely off-site right now seems to be Zion, who is not even in CCTV, but rather down below, potentially trying to go for an East Stairs or Metal Stairs flank. A slower round from both these teams, as FaZe Clan is just slowly but surely getting the map control they need without really much contention from Red Devils, who have invested a lot heavier on site compared to any real crazy roam games. And it's spared their lives thus far, but it has given FaZe the time they need to set up. Zion is taking advantage of this open up hole, but Cameraman, well aware of the hole in jail, will gun down Zion, getting the first kill of the round onto the Jaeger and putting Red Devils in a 4v2. The Twitch drone will take care of the bandit tricking, but Velvet will still be able to come into position. Sophia, though, will take him out of the animation and prevent the bandit trick, as Velvet has to fall all the way back to the bomb chassis. He is still waiting for the players of FaZe to try and push through the doors. It's up to him to stall out this push. Normally, we would see a smoke come into this position, and we do have a Bruce still playing in the small office to gas things off and deny the potential push, but they still have to stall out for 30 more seconds. No C4 available either. Mav will get a nade onto a Bruce. That's your smoke off the table as well. Velvet gets one headshot onto Mav. He tries to go for the second, but is unable to connect the shots. VNX, however, is there to kill Cameraman, keeping things in a 3v3, but with Velvet down, it is functionally a 2v3 in the dying seconds of the round. Plant is going down from Ion. That information has been relayed, but Midi will be gunned down as he tries to cross up. VNX will land a C4 and actually down another player, but that's Astra on the Zofia, who's able to withstand himself and come back up, but it doesn't matter as Ion gets the final 2 kills of the round. FaZe Clan, looking dominant now on their attacks, will go up 5-3. A much better showing from the side of Red Devils that round compared to the previous round. Investing to just play on site with a single player far off, not even holding an area of much importance. Just trying to go for some sort of late round flank or run out, but ultimately that was read into easily by the enemy, and Cameraman just guns him down inside a jail. And it's all up to Velvet, who puts up his valiant attempt there, but just misses the shot onto Ion. Had he been able to land that successfully, it might have been a different round. Midi tried to push up and salvage something, but it just wasn't enough. And the Zofia being able to withstand meant that even though Ion got the kills, had he failed, there still would have been another body around to save the round for FaZe. Red Devils, sticking to their guts, will again attempt Armory. They did attempt the bomb site first, so it's not quite their smash their head into a rock until something works approach they've been employing previously. But they have abandoned the bandit, realizing that trying to trick that Armory wall will just not work against FaZe, who have time and time again showed themselves to be very successful at opening up the Armory wall in a multitude of matches throughout the season, despite any potential bandit tricking. They have been extremely adept at getting Ion on that Twitch drone to just go in there and take care of bandit wires, regardless of how much tricking might be going on, and through a combination of either nades in the form of Mav or just Astra Zophias to kick the bandit out of his trick. They have never failed to open up that wall. And honestly, they don't lose nearly as much utility in the process as one might think. I don't believe they've gotten an exothermic charge electrified on that particular wall this entire season, despite the number of times it's been tricked against them by teams like Liquid and Ninjas in Pajamas. Red Devils will now have Velvet onto the dock, who's likely going to be contesting some longer angles, either in CCTV or in the Armory side. And we're going to actually see a Fountain's defense from MIDI. So a bit more of a extended sight this time around compared to previously. But will it be enough? Mav is going to start applying some pressure onto this eastern side, having full control of the stairwell and giving himself access into the opposite side, which will get the attention of MIDI, but Mav has long rotated away, just wasting Red Devils' energy and focus right now. CCTV control is firmly inside of Faze Clan's hands right now. They know about the position of a player on half wall, and Mav landing a long shot onto the Jaeger of Zion will once again give Faze the opening pick. As opposed to the previous matchup where it seemed to be Red Devils in the opening every round, with Faze coming back, this time it's Faze. ADS will burn out the nade, so no nade onto a brew this time, and Velvet will get gunned down by Mav. Or sorry, Mav will get gunned down by Velvet, other way around. As Astro is now trying to hold that sandwich where the dock popped up from. Diffuser will be recovered by Yuna, and man count is still at a 4-4. But two Nitrosols down below could spell disaster unless Cameraman's able to push in, and he is not. MIDI getting the kill onto Cameraman. C4 will come out and connect onto Yuna. Ion did kill a Brew, though, in the process, so it's still a 2v3 with only one member on site, and that's Velvet, who gets gunned down. But the second C4 comes out from VNX, leaving things all up to Ion in a 1v2. Both members of Red Devils having to push up. They'll spot out the Twitch. MIDI connects the kill, and that's the first round for Red Devils on their defensive side. Faze Clan, while able to clear out the top quite efficiently, gain control of CCTV early on and start pushing in, get the early pick they wanted. They did lose a member to sandwich from the dock, but ultimately they had plenty of control like they needed, but they did not clear the bottom floor. They trusted Cameraman alone to try and do that work, and he was pushing into two defenders who seemed to know his position as they quickly gunned him down. And then two C4s down below with next to no time left on the attack. That's disaster no matter how you slice it. The players of Red Devils down below were easily able to C4 out the original plant attempts and just attackers pushing in, and then rotate up in time with plenty of time to spare to gun down Ion. They will now go down below. They have actually brought an extra C4 to their lineup in the form of the Pulse, so we may even have up to 4 C4s depending on what Velvet is running. However, it's likely that because of the sheer amount of C4 potential available, we might see either Velvet on barbed wire or MIDI on a bulletproof camera. Try and have a bit more intel. As I don't think we'll see 4 C4s, especially not on this lower site. It is obviously extremely effective on the top floor, but lower site a little less so. That said, a Brew could potentially still be playing on the site proper and try and assist the roamers up top by feeding them information via his pulse scanner and potentially picking up a C4 kill when they're trying to clear out the top floor. So we'll see if Red Devils does double down on the Nitro strat that did work out for them quite well last round. Faze Clan, though, are likely to be unfazed despite Red Devils' started of a comeback, as they are not as temperamental as a team as we used to see them before. Keep in mind, this is the team that, against Rocket, were able to come back despite being on match point to win out on the land stage. So they're no strangers to this kind of adversity and potential comeback, and Astro will prove that true as he guns down Velvet. That is the Bandit off the board, no more tricking available. Not that it had proven so successful in the past, but now it's not even something that Faze has to resort utility for. However, Mav will be downed by a C4 that had been tossed out. He will likely get rezzed, but will only be at 20 health for the rest of the round. And there's only about half the round left to begin with now. More utility going out just to try and clear off any players playing close to the armory wall as the next nade goes out. Astra will spot out the Jaeger, but the Jaeger is able to pull back. That's Zion, who will escape with his life, but VNX will not be so lucky as Cameraman gets the kill, and then Ion will return the favor to Zion. The two rhyming names added once more. I want to see a stat for how frequently Ion and Zion have been in gunfights with one another, because I feel it's been quite a while. Midido will get the trade onto Ion. Good read on his part to pop out at that time, as he gets another onto Mav. Is he looking for his third? But he will not be able to connect it onto Astro, leaving a Brew in a 1v3, and Cameraman will be there to shut him down. Faze Clan puts things onto match point as they look to close things out. The roam clear of Faze just once again showing itself to be far more effective than the roam games from the side of Red Devils. A valiant effort by Midi to try and pull things back for his team, but ultimately too little too late, as the entire execute was coming down, and even if he lands that kill, it's likely that Cameraman would still gun down a Brew, and it would just be Midi in a 1v3, but on a retake instead of a defense of the site. Red Devils, ever the adamant adherence to their set strats, will once again go bathroom workshop. Apologies for that. I don't know why Siri pops up now and again, but regardless, this has probably been Red Devils' biggest weakness throughout their season. It's this inflexibility from the newest Latin American team. When they are set on a defensive site, they do not deviate the course, no matter how much it might be hurting and costing rounds. This is going to be their third time attempting ventilation workshops. They attempted it once in the beginning, and they attempted it again last round, and they haven't won it once yet. A Brew, though, will give his team a better start by picking off Ion, as he throws out a C4, but it will not connect with anything, and Astra will take off the head of a Brew, but Midi will get a kill onto Yuna, and Astra has been down. Cameraman is there to try and salvage things, but it's no avail, as Midi still kills Astra, Velvet kills Mav, and VNX kills Cameraman. I do not know what just happened. That round was over in a heartbeat. So I believe Faze tried to just fully just push into the site, trying to come in from that teller side into bathroom and just gun down the members of Red Devils, but they were ready for them, and it just kill after kill flying out. Cameraman unable to save his teammate's life there, and he finds himself in a 1v4 and is just easily gunned down. That was probably the fastest round of this entire matchup. And what a round. Faze getting a bit too far ahead of themselves there. And it'll give Red Devils a fighting chance, as they could still draw out the match, denying Faze a point. Which could prove essential, as Liquid is right behind Faze when it comes to the standings, and Faze not taking away all 3 points gives Liquid a chance to vault over their counterparts once again. 14 kills from Astro, but 2 members of Red Devils in double digits themselves. So it's been a close contest as far as kills go by both of these teams. Red Devils definitely was slumping for a bit after their 3-round run-up, but they have appear to have find their footing once again as they now get to go back to Armory and Archives, the site that they won prior. Zion playing aggressively, trying to go for a spawn pick. He does have the intel of one player playing far away, and that's Cameraman, who gets his head taken off. A long angle play from the Jaeger will pay off. It didn't look like Cameraman took out the default camera, in fact, and that cost him his life. And actually, there's still pings coming out from said default camera as they know the position of another member of Faze clan. A rudimentary basic mistake costing Faze clan their lives, and in fact, Zion will get another kill onto Astro, putting Red Devils in a 5v3 in less than a minute. An entirely new pace coming out from the side of Red Devils, but Mav is there to put things back into a salvageable situation, picking up 2 kills onto his other SAS counterparts on the defensive side. It's only been a minute in the round, and it's already a 3v3. However, CCTV control is still firmly on the side of Red Devils, which will either prompt a rotate from Faze clan, or they're going to force themselves to try and clear it, and that looks to be the plan as Ion is set up on the CCTV door. He looks away from the angle at just the wrong time, so Zion is able to escape with his life, and he just keeps checking away from the angle as the Jaeger starts to push up onto it. Unfortunate timing for the Thatcher, as they do still have half the round to try and clear out CCTV, but it doesn't actually look like anyone's playing it anymore. They're in fact going to elect to back out and play the long angles from the archive side. Faze clan has finally read into this, so Ion now has the CCTV control they wanted, as Yuna's going to start working his way to the armory wall to try and open things up for his team. Mav and Ion both set up inside a CCTV. The wall to armory is actually soft, so they might use Mav to just open things up, and indeed that seems to be the plan, as the sledge will create a very long angle all the way down to CCTV for his team to use. But there's only about 40 seconds left in the round, and Mav just unable to connect the shots onto the bulletproof camera. Zion takes down Ion, and then Velvet will shut down Mav. Zion, with his 4th kill onto Yuna, will tie things up for Red Devils. And that's going to lock Faze out of a point. Red Devils looking extremely strong on border, and honestly in this matchup in general, that is probably the best sight of Red Devils we have seen since the first half of Latin America Pro League. It seems they're finally finding their footing, which couldn't come any sooner considering this team will have to be playing a relegation match against the 2nd seed in Challenger League soon in Latin America Pro League. But if they're able to put on this kind of performance against that team, they have a shot. And Red Devils is a team that I think a lot of people have been counting out for this season based on their Pro League performance. So their strength here at BR6 to fight toe-to-toe with Faze clan bodes well. Granted, there were a lot of mishaps from both teams, plays that probably shouldn't have happened, and some aggression that shouldn't have been there, but nevertheless, Red Devils was able to hang in there till the end against the members of Faze clan. That last round in particular, Faze just was not able to clear out anything, and leaving that default camera up cost at least 2 members their lives. Just an elementary mistake there, the basics that need to be covered and cleared out every round, and they weren't. And Faze will be denied a point because of those mistakes. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed. I will get to NiP and Pain in a few minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. But I do need to take a bit of a break, grab some water. If you're watching this VOD, which I'm assuming you are, because I don't think anyone's actually watching this live, I hope you enjoyed my cast there. I know I stumbled quite a bit. I apologize. I am a little tired. It's been about 2 weeks since I have cast something on stream. But not that that's any real excuse. I need to work my way back into it and hopefully get the hang of things. Again, regardless, I hope you are enjoying. I hope you're liking seeing matches that you might not otherwise see. I know there's still a lot of I can work on, especially on my analysis side right now. I think today was in particular a lot weaker, but hopefully things will be a little better for NiP versus Pain, as I will move on to a bit of a break for myself. I'll see you soon in maybe 10-15 minutes. But until then, hope you enjoyed. We'll be back shortly with NiP versus Pain. And I'm back. So I hope I didn't keep. Oh, I hope that wasn't too long of a break. I don't think anyone was watching at the time, so I don't think I kept anyone waiting per se. But regardless, for those VOD viewers, because I don't have any life. I hope that wasn't too long of a break for you guys, even though you guys can just skip ahead. Intent, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, whatever you want to stay with that. Regardless, we're gonna just get right back into it with NiP versus Pain. I hope I have the stamina to do this, because again, it has been a bit for me. Maybe another 2 hours of casting. I could have broken this up because this isn't supposed to. This isn't happening live. So it's not as necessary for me to do these two back to back. But I did want to practice myself as well because I'm gonna have to do this Sunday anyway. So I better be on point, you know. Regardless, hopefully I can warm up a little bit more and provide a better cast for you guys than I did on the previous matchup. And as always, to people watching back the VOD, I would love to get feedback, either in the form of a whisper on Twitch, a message on Reddit. I believe most of you know my Reddit. If not, it's just my name minus the underscore. But anything to give me some sort of feedback, comments on YouTube when I upload the VOD there. I appreciate it, and I will read through anything that you guys send me, because I know I have a lot of room that I can improve on. So whatever you guys can suggest or would like me to do, I am all ears, as this is something I do greatly enjoy and would love to be able to provide better and better content for you guys as far as comes to casting. So yeah, that's enough of me wasting your times. Let's just get right into it. We're going to go on to NiP vs. Pain. As I mentioned before, I believe NiP is either in 4th or 5th place. To the best of my knowledge, they were tied with Black Dragons, but I think Black Dragons overtook them after a win. So NiP is now going to be about 2 points back from, I think, INTZ, and 3 points back from Black Dragons, if I remember everything correctly, which I might not. Either way, NiP is not actually in the playoff picture currently. They are close, but not there just quite yet. Pain Gaming, on the other hand, is completely out of the playoff picture, sitting at in either the 7th or the 8th placed position. Their goal is to just stave off auto-relegation here, as they are already auto-relegated in Latin America. Without further ado, though, let's get into this matchup. And as the previous one showed, the strength of these teams in their other matchups does not necessarily correspond to BR6, as Red Devils did still draw out the second map and put up a close contest on the first. First map is going to be Oregon, as Pain will start things off with Ban. I'm curious to see what sort of attacker Ban Pain elects to choose, as I feel that really sets the pace for these Oregon matchups when she starts seeing what one team will start to ban on these attacks. Whether it's going to be a Glaz or a Ying that's going to be more focused on the execute, or someone like Nomad who's going to be more focused on allowing Pain some free reign around the map so that they can rotate throughout, up to the top, through the tower side, through meeting hall, wheresoever they choose. They don't want to have to deal with a Nomad in the process. NiP is going to be banning out the Glaz, so we are going to lose that strong execute tool, as well as the presence he can provide on some of the longer windows on the top floor. It's always a bit of a shame, though, I think, when NiP bans Glaz. Well, it obviously makes a lot of sense. Glaz is, I believe, the #1 most banned attacker for a reason. It's also a shame to not see Psycho get to just tear things up on the Glaz, a role that he used to be so well known for, and since then, NiP has honestly banned out Glaz more often than Psycho has been able to run it. Instead, we'll see Psycho just fragging out on roles like the Ash. Mirror ban is also nothing too crazy from NiP, but the Clash ban from Pain Gaming is a very targeted ban towards ninjas in pajamas, as they will like to run that Clash in a variety of situations. Most often, you'll actually see Psycho playing on the Clash role on their defense to try and extend out where their roamers are able to play and provide extra intel to their off-site players, thanks to the protection of the Clash. Nevertheless, with Mirror out of play, the defenders of Pain are going to actually like to go to the top floor first. It does look like we're going to have a heavy C4 game coming out, thanks to the Pulse and the Valkyrie, so that we might see some plant denial attempts from below. Much like we saw in our previous matchup on Border from the side of Red Devils. The Ninjas, though, will have a strong counter to such play thanks to the IQ, which Psycho is going to take the mantle of. That scanner is going to be extremely effective at not just isolating and finding the pulse, but also spotting out any cameras or yokai drones that are feeding the information for the C4 to the defenders. There's a lot of utility on the board that Psycho can take out here, as well as those ADSs that he might be able to get vertically to allow the Ying of Pino to have free reign into the site. Julia, though, is going to start by opening up these lobby doors to try and give his team a bit of an ingress, take out the camera. We do have meeting hall presence thanks to Spawns, who is playing close by the tower. So we might see a potential flank through lobby later on, that it's likely they're going to position Julio on flank watch there. Norden is going to be playing up inside of the kid's bedroom by himself, as Spawns is still trying to contest with the tower side. The members of Ninjas in Pajamas, though, are slowly working their way into the site. And honestly, not that slow, as it's only been 50 seconds and they already have a lot of the site control they want, as Kamikaze starts to open up the generator wall, forcing Revolts out of his position at the top door of White Stairs, but onto the actual stairwell itself. Norden is going to be holding the angle down to the armory hallway, try and contest this potential push in from Pino, who starts to drone out and spots out the feet of the Echo. That information will be relayed to his teammates. He also knows where the smoke is located. So he's just going to hold that angle to try and lock Norden in position. As the flashbangs roll out from Muzzy to try and burn out any potential ADSs. Psycho, though, will get the first kill of the round onto Norden. That is the smoke off the board. Spawns, though, will C4 Pino from below, so the Ying has been taken out. Two high utility and high value operators removed for both sides. As Kamikaze pushes in to deal with the Echo, but Revolts lands the headshot. That's going to actually drop Diffuser and give Revolts control at the top of White. GCR will land another kill onto Muzzy, leaving just Psycho and Julio left standing, as Spawns works his way up into the top of tower to try and gun down Psycho, but is unable to spot out the IQ, who knows about the Valkyrie's position and has gone downstairs. Julio gets GCR inside a kitchen, so this is a round still within Ninjas in Pajamas' grasp, but not for long, as Spawns will get a kill onto Psycho, leaving Julian a 1v3 with low health. Revolts is low himself, but FK1 still at full health and only 25 seconds, no diffuser in hand. Things are looking dire for the Ninjas. If nothing else, the Yokais will be able to stall things out nigh indefinitely. Revolts, though, will pull off of the angle as Julio gets one onto FK1. It's now a 1v1. 10 seconds to go, though, and Revolts will kill the Thatcher, giving Pain Gaming the first round of the match. Ninjas in Pajamas getting perhaps a bit too aggressive there. Kamikaze trying to ingress on the Echo, but ultimately losing out on the gunfight. Drop Diffuser in a very, very difficult position for the Ninjas, and they tried to salvage the round between Psycho and Julio, who very nearly did it. But very nearly is not enough, as Julio, despite his 3k and almost getting Revolt, so we can see there was down to 1 health. But almost is not enough in this match. And Pen Gaming will win their top floor defense, allowing them to now go down below. They are going to bring the Kaid to try and electrify some of those hatches to make this basement site a little bit easier to hold, but thanks to the Thermite and the Thatcher both available, it's unlikely to have a significant amount of success. It'll be cleared out quickly and early on. This does mean that some of the ADSs might be able to survive longer, as well as any potential goo mines. There won't be EMPs available to clear those. But nevertheless, the Kaid is unlikely to have a significant impact on this round, other than just kind of stalling out the Thatcher a little bit. Bane Gaming is going to have spawns once again off on this tower side, meeting hall side roam, as in order to deny what is the tower take coming out from the side of Pain. And it actually looks like the Electroclaw will be used on this connector wall into Attic, as well as a Black Eye. Pain Gaming investing a lot of utility in making sure that FK1 can just live up here inside of Attic. Bonds looks like he got the information on Muzzy's Capita pushing in from the back, as the ninjas do have the full tower control they wanted, but they have not cleared out meeting or connector. Thermite charge will detonate up top, so they can now push into connector, prompting FK1 to fall back as he has been drawn out. But he is actually going to be playing the angle instead. His window is taken out and his foot is spotted by Psycho, but he's unable to fire in any shots before FK1 falls back. Psycho goes in pursuit, and he's just trying to hold the angle and cut off FK1, who has been isolated to that armory side. Muzzy will get the kill onto spawns. That's the Valkyrie the other roamer dealt with, but Psycho will be gunned down as he turns his back to FK1, just playing in the armory, keeping the man count even between the two teams. Psycho off to a bit of a slow start, but Muzzy is there to step things up with a kill onto Norden. FK1 reveals Julio's position, but is unable to connect any shots as he has to fall back even further, and Pino will take down Revolts. Julio's just pushing him on the stairs. He gets spotted out, but FK1 unable to connect the shots. Julio will get the down and the kill shortly thereafter, leaving GCR on a 1v4, and Julio there to shut him down. So despite Psycho not quite making an impact just yet, the rest of his team is ready, willing, and able to step up for their teammate. And Ninjas Pajamas will get their first round on the board thanks to Muzzy and Julio collecting quite a few kills. Muzzy, the newest member of the team, the youngest member of the team, and part of the Ninjas' initiative, so to speak, to pick up the fresh blood within the Latin America competitive scene. The moment it turns 18, they did it with Pino first, they've done it with Muzzy now, and they're restructuring around this flexible offensive lineup. And it's been hit or miss for the team so far. There have been matches where it's looked like it really, really pays off, and Muzzy and Pino in particular have had good stat lines throughout this season. Pino has been up there as one of the predominant fraggers in Latin America, really just outshone by his teammate of Psycho on the team, but still definitely there and viable. But at the same time, the new blood haven't always been the most consistent, relying on Julio, Psycho, sometimes Kamikaze to step up and that there. However, the experiment does seem to be bearing fruit in the future for this team, as they have shown a lot more life than they did in the previous season, where they were staving off relegation for almost the majority of last season. Towards the end, they started making a climb to potentially go to LAN, but it's been nothing like this particular season where they did finish 4th, but they didn't get knocked out of LAN until the final day, where they just did not show up against Liquid. Nevertheless, Ninjas are looking to reclaim their dominance in Latin America scene and bring the fight to Faze, Immortals, and Liquid. And part of that requires them to consistently prove themselves better than teams in gaming, who are supposed to be at the bottom of the standings in both BR6 and in Pro League. And there's a saying in sport that if you want to be the best team, playoff caliber teams, you have to be able to bully the weak teams. Because if you can't rack up points against the weak teams, it doesn't matter how competitive you are against the top teams. And Psycho will get the first kill of the round onto FK1 and land 1 bullet's worth of damage to GCR as well. Trying to shut up after his slow start the rest of the match. And Spawns, though, will get a kill onto Pino, so that is the Ying off of the board. Pino not really having a lot of impact with those Candelas, but Psycho collecting that kill onto GCR will keep Ninjas in Pajamas with the man advantage. As Norden will be gunned down by Kamikaze while he attempts to rotate away, leaving Spawns and Revolts in a 2v4. Spawns will see Muzzy, who just pushes his way in without any awareness of the Valkyrie's position, so the Capital has been taken out, and the back tower stairs control is still in the favor of Pain Gaming. As Ninjas Pajamas is fully invested in this back take, Revolts will shut down Kamikaze as well, putting things back in a 2v2 as Spawns works his way up and is able to take down Psycho. It's now a 1v2 for Julio, the only member pushing in from this south side. His position is compromised thanks to that goo mine, so Revolts will be holding on to the angle as bullets come out. He spots out Spawns but is unable to connect the shots, and Pain Gaming collects another round. Ninjas in Pajamas just failing to execute, and that's been a consistent problem for them throughout this season. They've done a decent job of their clears. They pinch out the roamers effectively, kill quite a few members, and then it comes execute time, and they just don't seem to be polished and worked out just as much as you need to be able to do a successful execute. A lot of confusion there on the side of Ninja Pajamas, especially about Spawns' location. After he killed Muzzy, it seemed that Kamikaze and Psycho neither were in a position to try and push for the refrag, despite being relatively nearby. Psycho in particular, just being caught unawares pulling out his hammer, was an easy kill for Spawns. This will prompt Pain to go back to the top floor, a site they won on the first round and is now reopened. Pain Gaming. Pino will now go back to the buck that he's really made a name for himself in this season, not finding a lot of success with that Ying or her Candelas. And this will prompt Psycho to go back to the IQ instead of the sledge. The double soft destruction isn't as necessary now for the ninjas. Julio on the Twitch, however, instead of the Thatcher. And while the Thatcher may have more utility in terms of the ease of his clear, not having to try and pop up and find things, the lack of a bandit or a mute, for one, makes him not as necessary, or a Kaed. But two, Julio has been hitting his shots and has really been standing out this match so far for his team, and may as well put him on an operator with a gun as good as the FAMAS. Regardless, to my point earlier about teams needing to being able to bully the lower teams to get the points they need and fight their way to playoffs, I think no better example of that in the current season than Reciprocity. Rec has proven themselves a top team worthy, or a top dog team. They drew Dark Zero in the first half. They came within one round of EG, and they beat Space Station pretty dominantly. Now, granted, that was on the final play-day where Space Station wasn't really there. Psycho, though, will collect a kill onto spawns early on. But ultimately, what cost Rec their standings in their playoff chase was their losses to EXG and Rise, the two teams that they should have been beating. By being unable to win those matches, they fell off. Same story with SSG. Their draw against EXG cost them their playoff run. So you need to always be able to collect those wins. And as SSG tweeted out of a free win and then failed to capitalize, but it needs to be a free win if you want to make it to playoffs. Muzzy, though, will collect another kill onto Norden before being traded off by Revolts, who gets another onto Pino, who's just had a very, very slow start, leaving Julio, Psycho, and Kamikaze, the original three members, in this 3v3 with 40 seconds left on the board. It's not a ton of time to work with, but health-wise, it's about equal between the two teams, as Norden will hit a goo mine on his approach up the white stairs, giving away his positions. He is holding out the angle in expectation of the flank, but pulls off just as GCR comes by. Psycho is there for the refrag, but Diffuser's now dropped at the top of white stairs, and FK1 and Revolts are still alive. FK1 in particular could go for a C4 from below if Psycho isn't able to collect this Diffuser. He's going to push in to try and deal with Revolts playing, but is unable to do anything as FK1 guns him down from afar, and FK1 picks another kill onto Julio, or onto Psycho. And that will take the round into Pain Gaming's favor, putting them up 3-1. Ninjas in Pajamas just not able to really get off to much of a start in any direction. The roam clears have been fairly effective, but by the time it comes down for executes, they just aren't there. And Julio and Psycho kind of pushing independently. Those goo mines in particular proving to be a real nuisance, meant that there was no one to fight for a refrag onto either FK1 or Revolts to try and put things into a 1v1, especially with time so low and not in their favor. What is in their favor, though, is Pain Gaming being forced to go to their tertiary bomb site of Tower. Oregon is a map where you have two very strong bomb sites and two not so good bomb sites. And while Tower is much better than Kitchen, it's still a very difficult site, especially for a lot of teams. There are some teams like Evil Geniuses which will love playing on Tower, finding it to be a site that they can play very freely in. But it requires you to mentally think about the entire site differently because of its verticality. And not in the sense that you have the soft destruction verticality, but just it's like a normal site turned straight up. It does force a lot more aggressive play from the side of the defense, and against an attacking team that does not know how to attack it well, Tower can be quite effective, actually. But Ninjas in Pajamas have shown themselves quite capable of clearing out Tier 3, and once Tier 3 control has been acquired in Tower, it becomes nigh impossible for defense to hope to take any sort of retakes. Likely why they have FK1 positioned on these stairs to try and contest up into Tier 3 when the smoke of Norden gets flushed out, or if he gets flushed out, I suppose, the better terminology. But having used up his last gas canister, it doesn't look like he's here long. GCR, though, playing on this small office window could prove detrimental for Ninjas, but Muzzy knows about his position and collects the free kill. And that's going to put Ninjas in Pajamas in a 5v4 for this tower attack. Gas canisters have all been used up by Norden. He has been healed up by the dock and actually overhealed, so he can try and survive out here for a little bit longer, but these nades coming out now from the side of Ninjas in Pajamas could spell his death. Spawns has taken quite a bit of damage from an earlier gunfight, leaving Pain Gaming in a difficult position that is not made any easier by Psycho gunning down FK1. That was Norden's backup up top taken out. Revolts will trade back onto Psycho and try and take up the Doc's positioning. But without that ACOG or the ability to heal himself, it's going to be a lot harder than what FK1's situation would have been. Still, Norden is surviving up in Tier 3 a lot longer than he was perhaps supposed to, as Ninjas in Pajamas are finding it very difficult to clear him out. The frag grenades have been used up by Pino, so they don't have that available to them anymore either. They do have the affixating bolts from the Capitout, so they could try and burn out Norden's position. But beyond that, there's not a lot of utility available to the Ninjas for the rest of this clear. Revolts will take a little bit of damage himself, and Spawn's still running around on low health means if they can clear out the rest of these bottom players, and Norden has actually given up Tier 3, finally evacuating from there as Spawns rotates all the way around, but Muzzy is there on ever-persistent flank watch. That's his second kill that he's acquired just by holding the flank, as Norden rotates all the way down, but his position does get droned out. Revolts, though, picks up 2 onto Kamikaze and Muzzy. Ping's coming out for Norden, so he knows the position, but Pino is there to collect the kill before he can finish off Julio, prompting Revolts to fall all the way back. Diffuser, though, has not been picked up. The Gumine's going to spell disaster, and Pain Gaming will win the round on time, and time alone. It didn't look like the Legions rotate away had been given away, and of course, the camera would have provided plenty of intel for him to push up the stairs and finish off Pino, should he have attempted a plant at any point. Not that it mattered, because the Gumine spelled disaster the moment he hit it. Ninjas in Pajamas just struggling on this Oregon attack. They have one more round to try and bring the half a little bit more in their favor, but that inability to clear out Tier 3 and push into Tower ultimately cost them that entire round. Ninjas in Pajamas showing time and time again that despite however many picks they can get off in the early round, despite how efficient they can be at pinching out roamers and catching off out of position defenders off guard, it's not enough. Their executes have consistently fallen apart. And as they find themselves racing against time, running into defenders, and just losing bodies, they're losing the rounds. And if Ninjas in Pajamas wants to fight their way into playoffs, they need to beat Pain, because the rest of their season does not get any easier after this matchup from Pain. The other teams are all the teams that have just as much stake in trying to get into the playoffs and are much closer to doing so. They've already gotten their wins against Red Devils, and that was a 7-0, 7-1 from Ninjas in Pajamas. They need to now do the same against Pain Gaming, because the only other options they really got, the rest of the teams they have to compete against, are INTZ, who have been looking very good in BR6. They've got to deal with Black Dragons, who have been looking good in both Pro League and BR6. And then, of course, Immortals, Faze, and Liquid. Gunfights will come out, and FK1 will be brought down a little bit lower on health, which will prompt him to possibly use his other stim pistol here shortly, and there it is. So that's 2 stim pistols used up by the Doc, but no kills for the side of Ninjas in Pajamas, as they now have to try and push into this top floor clear. A heavy roam presence from the side of Pain Gaming this round, as you have the Jaeger and the Doc both playing around on the rest of the map, with 2 members on the basement defense, the Legion and the Smoke of Norden, as well as this Valkyrie of Spawn. So 3 members have all set up on their defensive side, with 2 on the roam. What Ninjas in Pajamas needs to show is, after they clear out these roamers, can they properly execute on site if they want to take this round and still stay in the running for 3 points on this match? They should have a bit of an easier time once they go to defense. They've shown themselves to be a very effective team on defense, and they've shown themselves in particular to not have to worry about their executes on defenses. Norden will be taken down quite low as well, down to about 10 health. as it looks to just be a full execute onto the site now by the 3 members of Ninjas in Pajamas nearby. They have completely forgotten and ignored the roamers, likely just setting up for a potential flank watch. However, FK1 is able to pull back into the site, and GCR is close enough that he should be able to shortly soon. So this could quickly come down to a 5v5 confrontation on the site, but as a current, it looks like it's actually going to be more of a 3v5, as 2 members of Ninja's Pajamas are well off. Excuse me, a 2v4, as GCR himself is also off. Or 3v4. So this is still a round that NiP could take should they get some positioning advantage. But one last gas canister left from Norden to try and stall things out as the smoke bolts come out from the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. 3 members of Pain Gaming all forced back, but FK1 will get the first kill onto Psycho, but Muzzy will finish off Norden as the plant is going down by Kamikaze. It's a 4v4 post-plant situation. Health advantage pretty evenly split, as Julia will take down GCR, but Muzzy has been downed in the process and finished off by FK1. Kamikaze will collect another kill onto Revolts, and Pino will get FK1, putting Spawns in a 1v3 all by himself. He spots out one player off in the distance. He knows he's playing on the tower. He tries to go for the kill. He managed to get it onto Pino, so it's now a 1v2. About half the time left for him to defuse. He knows about the player position in closet. No, it doesn't seem that he does, but he'll see him anyway and turn around and take down Kamikaze. He's trying to find Diffuser, but Diffuser wasn't in the spot he expected as he starts to stick it. Does Julia know? He gets off of the defuse, baits it out properly, manages to get the kill onto Julia, but not enough time for the defuse. Ninjas in Pajamas will finally win another round, keeping themselves in this map. Spawns, with impressive awareness and gun skill there to try and salvage out a 1v3, but ultimately just not having the time to do so. So the first round where Ninjas in Pajamas has successfully executed since their earlier victory. They elected to just ignore the roaming, which they'd been effective at roam clearing, and just abuse the sheer amount of time they had for that execute, sneak in a plant, and survive. Their post plant was not the greatest, which is why Spawns was able to get the kills that he did. Not any discredit to his gun skill, of course, and his game sense to know the positions of the Ninjas players, but also the reason he wasn't traded out immediately after getting his kills is because the Ninjas were just not set up for a good post-plant hold. Their victory came off of stalling. Psycho, Julia, and Muzzy leading the pack for the Ninjas with 6 kills apiece, where Spawns and Revolts lead with 9 and 8 on the side of gaming. Ninjas Pajamas, despite being at a round differential, around loss of 2, are not actually that far behind as far as kills go. Their real issue on the attack was time. But that's now on their side as the defenders, as they too are going to be going for this top floor hold first. Psycho onto the Valkyrie, as we've seen him play time and time again, running the red dot this time. Normally we see Psycho running, I believe, the reflex sight. So interesting to see his choice here. Of course, Latin America loves putting its fragging players onto the Valkyrie. Not only do you bring a lot of utility in the form of the C4 and those cameras, so much intel at your disposal, but the high rate of fire on the MPX, despite its low damage, makes it quite adept for players that just like clicking on heads. And Psycho is definitely one of those players. I believe his headshot percentage is something in like the 40 or 50% for Pro League. Julia will take a little bit of damage as he tries to cross past the attic, giving away the position of GCR, but GCR was unable to confirm that kill, and the smoke will be allowed to live. Half the round has gone by and not a lot of action from either team. Barring that shot connected with Julio, Pain Gaming has not really done much of anything. They have a little bit of the site control they want, the map control they want around the rest of the site, but not nearly enough to actually make use of it. Psycho is positioned at the bottom of these towers to potentially go for the flank later on toward the attic, but the Claymore is going to be slowing down his approach. And Spawns is actually going to be on the flank watch, waiting for Psycho to come on up. There's 2 Claymores in his way. Muzzy, though, will get the first kill of the round onto FK1. That's the Zofia off the board, and the bulk of the fragging power for Pain lost. Realizing that there hasn't been any contention from the big window, Muzzy is just able to play freely with inside the bedroom. He does pull back in case a player tries to push up to the big window, but no one is here just quite yet. GCR has taken a lot of damage in the process, but Spawns will finally finish off Muzzy. And it's just waiting for Psycho to do anything. His position was droned out, and Psycho able to escape with his life, but not all of his health, as GCR will connect the kill onto Julio. Pino there is there for the refrag onto Norden, and that's a thermite off of the board. Pino gets gunned down himself on the white stairs. Not a lot of time left for the attackers, but the plant is going down regardless. Psycho will connect one onto Spawns, but finds himself in a 1v2. He connects another onto GCR. It's a 1v1 for Psycho versus Revolts. He does know the position of the Ying, it appears. They had a lot of intel on the board, and the Ying being in white stairs was given away, and it looks like he's getting potential calls on the positions, but the C4 is unable to connect with anything. His position is compromised. Revolts can just hold the angle on white stairs, but he gives it up. This puts Psycho in a position to try and clutch things out. He sees Psycho, but is unable to connect the shots until finally he guns down Psycho. Pain Gaming goes up 5-2. They're looking to close things out on this map and deny Ninjas in Pajamas the chance for all 3 points. A sloppy defense, all things told, from the side of the Ninjas, as they just got pushed further and further away from the site and were constantly fighting to retake. Diffuser being allowed to just get planted, despite the low amount of time left, ultimately denied Psycho the clutch potential that he might have otherwise had. Ninjas in Pajamas, though, will return back to the top floor. They're not quite ready to give up on this yet. And arguably the correct move in this situation. Revolts is now top fragging in the match with 11 kills. Spawns close behind him with 10. A good showing from those 2 players, while the Ninjas are still struggling to find their footing. Nevertheless, the Ninjas have to be able to win this site if they want to have any hope of winning the map. Keep in mind that Oregon is their map pick. Of course, Consulate is a map that the Ninjas have shown themselves adept on in the past. But Oregon was the map they picked going into the matchup. Losing on Oregon does not bode well for the Ninjas in their attempt to get points. Keep in mind, anything less than a draw denies them even the chance to get 2. They need to be able to pull back at least 3 rounds here in order to tie things up, or if they want to outright win. Anything less than 4 rounds in a row will deny them the ability to win. And thus, if they can't win upstairs, unless their rotation is going to be kitchen and tower, extremely unlikely, the Ninjas aren't going to win. Another slow start from the side of Pain Gaming, though. We saw them really run into issues with the clock last round. Not that it ended up mattering, as they were able to get the picks they needed and get that plant down, despite being at 0-0-0. Nevertheless, Pain Gaming's inefficient map clear and control could ultimately spell disaster, as this time we have Psycho and Pino playing down below, likely hoping to deny the pushes from Pain using the pre-opened up floors. They even have Kamikaze there to support them as well. Julio and Muzzy will be the two left in charge of the site, playing the two power positions on this site, top of White Stairs and inside of Kid's bedroom. 55 seconds left to go, as Pain Gaming is going to really have to start to accelerate their pace if they want to win the match. Psycho looks to have gotten the call to start flanking up from Armory Stairs, or potentially be going for a C4 onto the Stormite should they know that they're pushing Generator. Julia knows that he has one player on his rappel, and that'll prompt him to rotate away, leaving Muzzy as the sole player on site. Both teammates have pushed onto White Stairs together, as Psycho will connect a C4 onto FK1. Spawns, though, will trade onto Pino, but Kamikaze onto GCR, Muzzy onto Revolts, and Psycho onto Norden. And Ninjas in Pajamas looking dominant in this round as Muzzy collects the final kill onto Spawns. Pain Gaming just finding themselves starved for time and shuffling into the site will be gunned down easily by the Ninjas. NiP not quite ready to give up on this map just yet, as they put things into a 5-3 scoreline. They still have to win basement, then they have to win tower, and then they have to take this top floor again. They could, of course, sub out tower with kitchen if they so chose. But that is, I want to say unlikely, but I've seen the Ninjas run kitchen a fair number of times, despite how difficult of a site it is. But with the Clash ban in effect in particular, which is what they typically use to try and make kitchen a bit more viable, I don't see them going kitchen. Either way, they have to win those two sites just to tie the match. Then they have to win 2 more to win it outright. The difficult position, but a comeback position nonetheless is possible. They do get the advantage of now on the basement floor, another very strong site. They have not revealed anything to Pain Gaming for how they intend to defend it this go around. Pino is going to be on the Echo instead of the Maestro now, likely capitalizing on the fact that Pain Gaming has just not had good time management skills. And who better to win out rounds at the end via lack of time? Echo can deny that plan and stall out even further for his teammates. Muzzy is going to still be on the Maestro, so we have plenty of denial available to Ninjas in Pajamas this time around. A lot of intel, too, in 3 different forms of cameras. And 2 different C4s. So the Ninjas are really looking to capitalize on how slow Pain Gaming has been in their attacks. We actually have we actually have all 5 operators here have some form of denial. And that's going to make things really difficult for Pain Gaming on this approach. Of course, a lot of the players of Ninjas are going to be roaming to try and contest Meeting Hall for as long as possible and give themselves even more time, as they have successfully read into Pain Gaming's lobby side take, something we did not see the Ninjas do once. GCR is going to be working his way in from the kitchen, and they still have to contest with the 2 players of Ninjas in Pajamas directly on the site, as well as Muzzy, who's going to be playing further back of Meeting on the tower side. And Kamikaze is going to pull back to join him, leaving Psycho to try and cause as much damage as he can close up, but Kamikaze isn't too far back to not be able to support him. Half the round has been wasted by this Meeting Hall roam. It looks like Kamikaze did get the call to finally rotate away, Psycho will still be playing in meeting to not forfeit it, and Muzzy and Kamikaze are close enough to support him should the need arise. Norden has taken out the lobby hatch so they can start pushing into the site, but Julio's smoke canisters will definitely be more than enough to delay him for quite a while. No Capital on the board as well means that the closet won't be easily cleared out by Pain Gaming. With only 50 seconds to go, things are looking good for the ninjas, as none of their denial has actually been taken off of the board just quite yet. Kamikaze is up in the attic. He has intel thanks to one of Muzzy's evil eyes as towards any potential push, and we did see 2 players of Pain Gaming trying to clear attic, but not quite pushing in far enough to take advantage of it. As Meeting Hall is still firmly in the control of Pain Gaming. The first gas canister has been used at about the 30-second mark, but there's still 2 more available to Julio, as well as Echo Drones and C4, as Psycho has come back down to support the rest of his teammates, as the final execute is going down with 14 seconds. Thatcher EMP will deny one of the Yokais, but Pino, keeping one in his back pocket, is still able to pop in and let his team know about the plan. GCR will collect one onto Muzzy though, and Revolts will follow up onto Kamikaze. Psycho will take down Norden with a nice shot with the Deagle, and he sees the planter, is able to down him. Julio picks up a kill in the process, but it doesn't even matter because Ninjas in Pajamas will win the round off of that down alone. The time-wasting ability coming out from the Ninjas proving to be instrumental in taking that round, as Pain just continued to stall and stall and stall. And planting at 0 seconds, it doesn't matter how many kills you're getting in the process. If you can't complete the plant, you've lost the round, and they could not complete the plant. Ninjas in Pajamas stall tactics definitely seeming to be working out this go around. Reading into how slow Pain's attacks have been. If they are able to take this tower defense, they put themselves finally in a position to win out this map, as they are now 1 round away from tying things up. Keep in mind, we're still talking 5 straight rounds for them to win. But 5 straight rounds, they've already completed 2 of them. 3 more to go. Muzzy is going to be taking the role of the Valkyrie, as Psycho will swap onto the Pulse. Pino is now onto the Jaeger, and Julio is onto the Echo. Kamikaze playing Mute now. So we've been seeing a lot of these role changes come out from the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. They've been an extremely flexible team throughout this season. Pain Gaming will be sticking to their tried and true, and Psycho going for an aggressive run out to this construction spawn, unable to connect any shots with anyone. His position was compromised, but no one around to really take advantage. FK1 hasn't really been there in this match thus far. It's been the Revolts and Spawns show by and large, which it's been working so far, but it started to stall out and slow down, especially since the side swap. Question is if FK1, who's traditionally put onto these entry fragging roles, if he can start to really shine, get some picks, and really enable his team, who look to be trying to push in from the connector side onto 2-2. They are going to have to be contesting a lot of bullet holes that it looks like Kamikaze is playing behind, and that information has been relayed to the teammates of Pain, as GCR's drone was set up to spot all that out. Kamikaze, perhaps reading into the fact that Tower doesn't require as much restructuring of site, has been electing to run the MP5 here as Mute instead of the shotgun that we've seen oh so prevalent. In addition, that will allow him to play these peak holes that he's created a little bit more effectively. Julio and Psycho all the way down in Laundry, though, playing on the previous site this go around, as opposed to the tower side. Spawns is trying to drone out Meeting Hall to try and figure out how much of Meeting they can push into, but once again, Pain Gaming is finding themselves running up against the clock. They've got 50 seconds to go, and it's still a 5v5. FK1 has been yokai'd, so his position is completely compromised. They have to worry about these angles opened up into meeting by the ninjas. Revolts has been sent down to clear out the Echo, who spots out the location of the IQ thanks to his own drone. He will have to sacrifice his yokai in the process, but only 30 seconds are left, and Pain Gaming don't even seem to have an ingress into the site. This is going to be another rushed attack from Pain Gaming, and we've only seen that work from them once. As they now have 15 seconds left to go, and nothing has been accomplished. Norden's just going to try and charge in through the door. He's going to drop out some stun grenades to try and flash out the position of one player, and that one player will be gunned down. That's Kamikaze taken out. Spawns will get another kill onto Psycho. Spawns falling up onto Julio. It's now a 2v5. Pino and Muzzy, though, will collect kills of their own, but FK1 will land another onto Muzzy, and Norden will land one onto Pino. 10 seconds to go, and Pain Gaming pulls it out of nowhere. And that will deny Ninjas in Pajamas the potential to get all 3 points. An odd round, again, coming up from Pain Gaming, who have not shown any real sort of time awareness. Their map control has been ineffectual as they fail to clear out the positions the defenders have decided to set themselves up in. But it hasn't seemed to matter. In stark contrast to the ninjas, whose attacks were defined by poor executes, the Pain Gaming has just been able to execute onto the site as they please, when they please. And that has been winning them those rounds. I think we saw the plant go down there at about 3 seconds, while it was still a 5v5 at 12 seconds. That's not a round that the attackers should win, ever. But the ninjas just weren't ready for the onslaught of Pain Gaming in the final few seconds, and all got gunned in the process. Had even one player been set up to watch Norden charge in through that door, whose position was completely compromised there, that round is lost for Pain Gaming. Norden dies with the diffuser in the doorway. There's no way any player can push up and recover that diffuser to try and get a plant off. Instead, it looked like Kamikaze was supposed to be watching that angle, and he got distracted away and got gunned in the process. Muzzy and Psycho leading the charge for Ninjas Pajamas with 10 and 11 kills, but Revolts and Spawn still neck and neck with one another at 13 kills apiece. They've really been fighting their way through for Pain, and Pain Gaming, they may have been relegated out of Latin America Pro League, but it doesn't look like they're quite ready to give up on BR6 quite yet. Keep in mind that NiP needed all the points possible if they wanted to catch up. Pino's going to start with an aggressive run out onto FK1. They still do want to recover 2 points from this matchup, which they can only do if they draw this map and win the next one. Losing this map completely would cost them their ability to try and fight their way into that 4th slot and make it to playoffs. Once again, for those unfamiliar with BR6, top 4 will go to a King of the Hill style playoff. What that means is that the 3rd and 4th place teams will play against each other. Then the winner of that will play the 2nd place team, and the winner of that matchup will play the 1st place team in the final tournament. So Ninjas Pajamas, while they may not have much of a shot at getting into that 1st position, which Faze is fighting Liquid for, they do still want to get into any position. They can try and fight their way through the playoffs and be here for the next season of BR6, because 5 through 7 will face relegation matches, and there's auto relegation for 8th place. Julio is going to be peeking aggressively onto these north windows. You see a lot of smokes in Latin America run this strategy, and most times it gets them killed. But it didn't look like anyone from Pain Gaming was aware of that play. Spawns will finally get the trade onto Pino, putting things back in a 4v4 as GCR spots out one player. That's Kamikaze, who gets gunned down by the Buck. So Pain Gaming pulling this round back, and this is probably the fastest pace Pain Gaming has had for an attack this entire match, as Norden will follow things up with a kill onto Muzzy. Ninjas Pajamas all down to Psycho and Julio to try and salvage this map. And now it's all down to Juliano 1v4. We've seen him clutch these before, but he has 40 seconds, and he's all by himself to try and do so. He spawns at the head of one player, but it's not enough. Spawns will collect the headshot, and Ninjas in Pajamas, they can get at max 1 point. As we now go on to the second map of Consulate. So yeah, not a lot to say on that match other than just the attacks from Ninja's Pajamas were heavily lacking in their executes, and on the defense, it seemed they didn't know how to defend against execute. The final round, they tried to ramp up their aggression and play into the fact that Pain doesn't have the time when they give it to them. So deny them the ability to catch their breath, but it didn't pay off as that was the first time Pain Gaming were able to get an early round advantage. We'll see though if Ninja's Pajamas can come back with anything more on the second map. If they want to salvage 1 point out of this, they need to win on Consulate. Keep in mind, Oregon was their map pick. So they now need to win Pain's pick into the map swap if they want to actually take away any points from this matchup. The Ninjas will be banning out Hibana first round. So nothing too crazy there for Consulate. Hibana will see a lot of play on those top floors, especially also to take out hatches if you're attacking the garage. But at the same time, Thermite tends to be a more common ban on Consulate, as removing a Thermite will shut down the garage play. Pain Gaming once again electing to ban out the Nomad, as they do want to still maintain their freedom and flexibility, and once again target banning NiP's Clash, as they don't want to deal with Psyker or whatever player that the Ninjas elect to run on the Clash from being able to allow the defenders of Ninjas in Pajamas to play a bit more freely. The Echo ban coming out from NiP will be another fairly standard ban, nothing crazy there. It's either Maestro, Echo, or Mira. And this time Ninjas will be electing to allow the Mira to stay in play while they ban out the Echo. Pain Gaming will be starting on the attack this time. We saw them a lot weaker on their attacks compared to their defenses on the previous map of Oregon. So this could be a chance for Ninjas in Pajamas to try and put themselves in the lead in this matchup as opposed to being on the back foot at every turn. Top floor defense coming out first from the Ninjas. They're going to be electing to actually run Muzzy onto the dock instead of the Maestro role. So it's going to be sacrificing a fair bit of utility by losing those evil eyes and that intel, but they do still have Psycho and the mirror windows to try and provide more intel. Barbed wire, though, from the dock means no bulletproof camera either. He will be able to, of course, play those long angles with that ACOG MP5, which is likely why they've ran him on this top floor, which can be also important in dealing with players pushing from either the admin side, the spiral side, or the yellow stairs side, depending on how the dock is positioned to handle things. Pino looks like he's going to be set up onto the yellow stairs, and the dock will be set up in the bathroom. We have a mirror window actually facing into the bathroom windows. They are likely to give up bathroom eventually, but try and contest the window using that mirror window, possibly putting Muzzy into connector, and have the intel from the mirror window to gun down any players that push to the bathroom. Pino's actually going to be all the way on Visa stairs. It looks like he's most likely going to be playing Projector later on, with the bathroom had been opened up for Muzzy to contest yellow stairs, but it doesn't look like they're going to be placing anyone on yellow stairs proper. Interesting to note that Pain Gaming is still not electing to run the Capitao. We didn't see him run at all really on their attacks on Oregon, where he can also be quite effective, especially clearing out that closet now that his flame radius has been increased. But on console in particular, Capitao has, I believe, one of his highest play rates because of how effective he can be, especially on these top floor attacks, clearing out stuff like yellow stairs, playing the windows effectively, and just being able to force out the defenders. Instead, we're going to see a lot of soft destruction on the side of Pain Gaming and a lot of fragging power thanks to the Ashe and the Zofia, and of course the Buck with his skeleton key providing that last bit of soft destruction. The IQ is going to be the primary source of intel gathering for the attackers as they'll try and spot out these cameras and shut down Psycho's Valkyrie, which they know he's going to be on. But speaking of Psycho, he will get the first kill of the round on to Norden. And that is the Thermite off the board. Diffuser has been dropped. Revolts is droning out the position where Psycho had to have been playing, and GCR will get a kill onto Pino. So Psycho has been trapped downstairs. But nevertheless, a Thermite kill so early on is important for the side of Ninjas in Pajamas. Spawns, though, will collect a kill onto Kamikaze, and suddenly the man advantage is on the side of Pain Gaming, as a nade flies out from GCR, connecting with nothing. Gonna start cooking his second nade, trying to connect this kill, but he still, once again, will not be able to find Julio. FK1 trying to contest this long angle against Muzzy, but to no avail. And Psycho will get his head taken off by Revolts, who's just on the flank watch. But there are only 20 seconds left to go, and the attackers will now have to push into the anchors. Once again, their time management has just not been on their side, as Julio gets a kill on the spawns before being traded off by GCR. Muzzy will collect the kill onto FK1. It's a 1v2 situation, and he'll be gunned down by GCR as he drops right into both attackers. Not realizing that neither player had Diffuser, and thus both of them were just waiting for him to rotate away. Pain Gaming will collect the first round, carrying forward with their momentum they had on Oregon and trying to go for the upset and hurt the Ninjas' chances to get to LAN. They've already lost out on Milan. Will they lose out on BR6 as well? Once again, Pain Gaming showing that despite the lack of time, they're willing to capitalize on the aggressive plays being employed by the Ninjas to get their refrags and start to push into sight and just execute and slowly push back the anchor play of the Ninjas, who have looked confused in the dying seconds of the round, regardless of which side they're on. It seems like their game plan lasts for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and then they run out of ideas. They're going to have to start showing themselves capable of playing at the very end game if they want to win this round. We're to seeing the advantage of the Mira, though, especially on this bottom site, where she's able to set up the bathroom for what's likely going to be Muzzy, the smoke, playing up here, or Pino on the mute. Kamikaze going onto the Kaid might indicate some level of Electroclaw tricking onto the garage wall, but the existence of the Thatcher is going to make that prospect difficult, especially because garage wall being a triple wall means that he can't trick all of it the way he can trick on Armory. And in fact, if he sets his things up prior, they'll just be taken out by a Thatcher. Psycho is playing aggressively on this Visa side, knowing that Pain Gaming likes to enter from this East admin Visa take and hoping to get an early pick. We see him actually on the Jaeger this time around, so on a traditional fragging role compared to the Valkyrie fragger that we see Latin America love normally. This is more in line with what NA and EU might put their top fraggers on, and we'll see if it allows Psycho a bit more breathing room and flexibility, as he's had an alright match, but perhaps not to the level that his team needs him to in order to step up, which can go both ways. Of course, the rest of his team not picking up kills does make his life harder, but at the same time, if he's the one expected to be doing so, he needs to be doing so. Pino will get one on the spawns, but Norden will be there to cut him off as he pulls back, so that's the Ashe, the entry fragging off the board, but a C4 gone for the Ninjas, and a smoke gone means even more denial has been lost as GCR takes out Muzzy from above. A nice angle into the bathroom there that it didn't look like Muzzy was ready for. Shotgun shells will disappear as he fires into the soft wall and has to use another set of his shotgun skeleton key to open up. But that's bathroom control lost by the side of ninjas in pajamas, giving the buck free reign of piano. A mirror window set up onto the garage wall is a unique choice, but the 2 electro claws means it's not being used for tricking. Once again, time isn't entirely on Pain Gaming's side, as they only have about 50 seconds now left to execute, but they've gotten more than enough picks, and we're likely to see this execute coming soon. The buck opening up all of piano is going to really help his team out as far as forcing the defenders out of their positions, and Norden can now start to work onto this garage wall, opening up both panels with quick and rapid efficiency. Psycho, though, will get the second kill for Pain, but before being traded out himself, and Julia will also be taken down by Revolts, putting Kamikaze in a 1v3 situation. He does have time on his side, as always, as there are only 10 seconds left for Pain Gaming, but so far the amount of time he's had has never been enough, and it won't be enough this time either, as Revolts is there to get the kill. Pain Gaming goes up 2 rounds. Once again, Ninjas in Pajamas, while maybe being able to stall out time, cannot handle the executes of Pain Gaming, and as the attackers are afforded more and more angles to just shut down the remaining defenders, they will die, regardless of whatever vein picks they get towards the end. Exit frags, as they are known, they are quickly traded off, and it's never enough for ninjas to try and swing momentum in their favor. The ninjas will elect to go back upstairs for their third defense. If they want to come away with the win on this half, they need to now go 2. Anything less than that could spell extremely difficult, as the ninjas have really been struggling on their attacks. The opposite problems of Pain Gaming, mind you, instead of struggling on the clear and finding themselves low on time, they have struggled on the executes, regardless of how much time and manpower they have. And on a map like Consulate, executes don't get any easier than Oregon. Just perhaps the most stratted out map in Pro League. Norden getting an early kill onto Psycho, who was trying to go for some sort of spawn peek. Well, even more disaster for Ninjas in Pajamas as they lose their primary fragger and one of their C4s. Pain Gaming has elected to run Revolts on the glass this time around. They're going to have even more of a spearhead for executes, despite how last round they might be. Julio, though, with an aggressive peek onto the admin windows, will finally get a trade onto FK1. Ninjas in Pajamas are now back at a 4-force differential. However, admin is normally very effective and easy for the attackers to clear out with a couple well-thrown grenades. And CCR has just the tool for the job, but he doesn't quite realize where Julio is, nor have the ADSs been cleared. An oversight from Pain Gaming will cost them their only set of frag grenades and allow Julio to continue to play inside of the admin. Stun grenades will go out to blind Julio, who throws a C4 in response to stall out the admin push, but GCR is set up below to try and find Julio, but with no avail, as he will get another kill onto Norden, taking down the Thermite and Diffuser. Julio just making admin his home, a position we rarely see played these days because of how easy it can be cleared, and if we do see it played, we see it played by something like a Jaeger. But instead, Julio will be in the Jaeger's position, and the Jaeger will be in the Mira's position on the window. So, the aggression from Ninjas in Pajamas, while not paying off at the beginning, Julio's aggressive play with inside of admin is bringing this round closer and closer with the team's favor. Of course, it's never too early. It's always too early to count Pain Gaming out. considering they've ran into the clock and generally man at disadvantage every round. But it's going to get even worse as Kamikaze gets GCR and Diffuser gets dropped once again. Bonds and Revolts left in a 2v4 situation, 36 seconds left, and they don't have Diffuser this time. Both of them aren't really in any position to recover it. Revolts is going to use both of his smoke grenades to try and get the Jaeger, but he'll be shot through the smoke. Kamikaze somehow getting that down and walking away with his life, leaving Spawns in a 1v4. He will try and confirm the kill on the dock, but even if he does so, Julio's there from behind to gun him down. He had to pick a kill to try and confirm after just downing the dock and not confirming the kill fast enough, because the dock's self-revivability means that if he had turned around to deal with Julio, he would have been gunned by the dock. It was a pick your poison situation for Spawns, and he died regardless. Ninjas in Pajamas finally collecting their first round as they seek to try and walk away with at least a defensive half. Kamikaze will be teasing the Caveira, but quickly swapping off for a Pulse, as Psycho will now be on the Alibi and Julio will be on the Valkyrie. The meme in NA might be promoted to Doc, but it looks like Latin America, it's promoted to Valkyrie. Julio's had a impressive and consistent performance for his team in these matches. Ninjas in Pajamas, though, will be electing to play the newest site to Consulate, the split site as it's known, of server and sellers. We'll see how this plays out, though, for the side of Ninjas in Pajamas, as well, there is definitely a lot of potential, and we see the verticality being brought out by Kamikaze on that Pulse alongside the C4s of Julio and Pino. This side has also not had a great run thus far, as not a lot of teams have seemed to have figured out how they want to set up their defensive setups. Of course, that is fairly standard with any time a new site comes to Pro League. It does take a little bit of time to figure out exactly how you want to defend, especially on a map like Consulate, where the other three sites are extremely viable. So investing the time into a fourth site, and investing the play time in particular, may not always be worthwhile. Pain Gaming is going to drop Revolts off of the Glass and back onto the IQ, as the Glass didn't really have any success whatsoever on that previous round. And they want to have the intel available of that IQ to deal with any sort of cameras, as well as deny that Pulse should the IQ be able to position above him. Psycho, though, getting a quick kill onto Spawns to set the pace of the round, will give Ninjas in Pajamas another man count advantage. This time, it'll be up to them to try and capitalize on it, something they haven't been so successful in thus far. Pain Gaming doing an excellent job of maintaining composure despite losing players early on, despite running up against the clock. They've been fighting tooth and nail and just focusing on their executes time and time again. But GCR will get downed by a C4 from below. He will be able to get reset back to 20 health, but it's still going to be extremely difficult now for Pain to walk back with the man and health disadvantage they have. And half the round has also gone by. If Pain Gaming wants to have a chance to salvage in this round, they're likely wanting to get a pick in the next 20 seconds to try and bring man count at least into their favor for when they go for these late round executes. And Norden's going to be looking to do just that by playing these angles through the Visa stairs. Julio, though, will get a kill onto Revolts, tries to push him after he misses his shots on GCR, and followed up by another kill onto Norden. Julio just having an excellent day today, as Psycho will get another kill on GCR. FK1 will finally shut down Julio, but Pino will be there to get the instant trade, and Ninjas in Pajamas will tie the match up at 2-2, looking to get their first lead in this match. Pain Gaming struggles really coming back to bite them this round, just never consistently having a good roam clear, and losing a lot of players in the process and having to fight against the clock and against man disadvantage every round. And this time, things went the way they generally should, as conventional wisdom might state, with Pain Gaming losing. They actually seemed quite unsure of how they wanted to attack this split site that Ninjas in Pajamas elected to go to, stalling out even more than normal in the process. Ninjas will now go down to basement. They have yet to win a basement defense, and they're going to look to change that approach. Julio will be back onto the mirror that we saw him have so much success with on the top floor and try and replicate it now down below. They're going to be running the same real lineup they ran last time they played the basement. Revolts, ever on the carousel of operators, though, will now be onto the Jackal. We've seen him run the IQ. We've seen him play the Glass. Now we're going to be seeing him play the Jackal. I believe we've even seen him play the Ash one round, or that might have been Spawns. In which case he would have played the Thatcher. So either way, Revolts has been playing quite a few operators this matchup. And that's kind of the flexibility that we've been seeing get more and more prevalent in Pro League as the season goes by. It's why Reciprocity was so effective in that first half. Is contrary to what we'd seen in some past seasons where we have much more set roles, players just sticking on their roles and not changing up, we've started to really see players start to have a lot more flexibility as a team and as a unit, being able to swap around their roles and their positions, and thus try and catch their opponents more off guard and try and be ready for different situations. That's probably where a lot of the success of G2 comes from, is all those members are so flexible and able to play a wide variety of roles, and that gives you the flexibility to swap around depending on site, map, and just who's having a good day, who's hitting their shots. Nevertheless, we do also have obviously teams like Empire, which will just stick to their singular ops and strats and make it work too. So there are those of the old breed, but right now, Pino will get the first kill on to FK1, setting things off well for his team once again. He takes a lot of damage in the process, but Psycho will get a kill onto Spawns, and Muzzy is nearby to try and save Pino, but to no avail as GCR will finally collect that trade. Psycho is also low on health, so Pain Gaming do have a chance to pull the man count back into their favor, as they're now trying to push into the yellow stairs and clear out the Kaid who had been tricking. Mirror Window and Electric Claw will be taken out, but Kamikaze will not, as he just stays alive right by the black bar. Psycho will be spotted out, but Norden will miss his shots, and Psycho has been healed up by the dock. So the health advantage is no longer there for Pain either, as Norden just tries to find an angle where he can connect some shots. Psycho, dancing around, trying to not be taken down thanks to these Jackal pings, will escape even more shots from GCR and get his health back once again thanks to Muzzy. That should be all 3 stim pistols used up by the dock. As once again, time is not on the side of Pain Gaming. GCR, the lone man up top, trying to open something up, but he'll now rotate down to try and cover for the plant. Muzzy will get a kill onto Revolts. His plant goes down by Norden. Muzzy follows up with another onto GCR, and Psycho will collect the final kill onto Norden. And Ninjas in Pajamas getting their 3rd round in a row, for the first time taking the lead in this matchup. It seems it took them a map and almost a half for them to finally catch on, but it looks like they have started punishing Pain for their mistakes. And ultimately, that's what these rounds are coming down to. Ninjas in Pajamas are leaving a lot of gaps in their defensive play, and Pain has been taking advantage of them. But Pain has also been very slow. Their roam clears have been very ineffectual. They've just been winning out in the dying seconds every round. And it's not until now that Ninjas in Pajamas has adapted for that and have started taking rounds despite it being in the dying seconds. And they're hoping to take one more to try and win out this half as they return to the top floor. We're going to see the Vigil coming out from the Ninjas for the first time with Muzzy onto that role. And once again, that's another operator that will punish Pain for the mistakes they've been making. Clearing out that Vigil is already difficult enough. He's going to waste a lot of your time. And what two things have Pain been the most ineffective of? It's been their roam clear and their time management. By running another operator that punishes them heavily for those two mistakes, Ninjas in Pajamas is trying to just heighten the mistakes of Pain Gaming even further. Psycho will be back onto the Valkyrie this round as Julie onto the mirror that he's proven so effective on. Once again, he's going to actually spot out the feet of a player pushing down spiral stairs. That's going to prompt Julie to drop down and collect what should be a free kill, but Spawns will actually escape with just a fraction of his health. Julie unable to connect enough shots at that range with the Vector. No headshots coming in. Spawns manages to limp away to safety. Kamikaze has taken a bit of damage in the process, but Psycho will get a kill onto GCR. The man advantage will go in Ninja's favor anyway. Kamikaze is entrusted alongside Muzzy to hold this admin, which we saw Julio playing so aggressively previously, but also Julio was forced to rotate there after Psycho's death, although Psycho was spawn peeking from Yellow Stairs, so it's likely he wasn't going to be playing that position anyway. But they still needed an extra man there, so they might have had Muzzy rotate to Yellow Stairs post the fact. But now that they have all 5 members alive, Muzzy can play inside of the admin. The Vigil ERC is going to make it even more difficult for him to spot it. He does seem to know the position of Gordon, who is going to be on his drone inside of the admin. If he hops onto this desk, he could collect a kill. But Norden now knows about his position and is going to be able to take down Muzzy. No free kill for the Vigil. Julia, though, will finally collect onto Spawns, finishing off what he should have done much earlier on in the round and keeping man advantage inside Ninja's Pajamas with 50 seconds left in the round. And all they have to show for it is to pick onto the Vigil and forcing the Kamikaze out. Well, once again, Pain Gaming's clear and time management just not on their side. All 3 gas canisters still available for Pino, as he's going to just be set up here to deny the push, but unfortunately losing one of his gas canisters to just a impact from the Zofia. Poor timing there, as he'll now have to use all of his gas canisters a bit earlier than he wanted, but an excellent shot onto Revolts, as Psycho gets another onto Norden. FK1 on next to no health, and now no health as Kamikaze finishes off the job. And the Ninjas will go up 4-2, winning out their defensive set. However, they now have to swap to their attacks, which have looked even worse than their defense. Especially in their executes. So we'll see if they're able to execute on Consulate any better than they were executing on Oregon. We're going to see a top floor hold coming out from the side of Pain Gaming to start things off, much like Ninjas in Pajamas did as well. It's actually... it plays in a lot to do with the Hibana ban that was employed by the Ninjas. As the garage site is obviously the one site where you run that thermite on. But the top floor, and to a lesser extent the rest of the floors, but especially the top floor, where you need that Hibana most often, as she brings you a lot more flexibility and safety at opening up walls like Bosco spot in Projector. And by opening up those positions, that's how you force players like the Smoke out to try and push onto Projector side, or at least make your push onto admin side a little bit safer as well. Losing the Ibana means that you have to rely on the Thermite to do as much, and the Thermite having to get up close is not an easy task. Julia, though, will be running the Capitao, which Pain Gaming did not elect to run on a single round, despite how dominant he can be on Consulate. So this could prove difficult for Pain Gaming to handle. We also see that M249 being brought by Julio, so taking advantage of the new scope that has been given to the Capitao. Psycho has already worked his way all the way into Piano. He has this second floor control. He's now going to start trying to focus into how he can clear out yellow and take the top floor. GCR is all the way down below, so if there's no good flank drones in position, and Spawns is there with him as well, they could potentially come up to try and shut down Pino and Psycho. But it looks like Psycho is at least aware of a potential spiral presence as he checks that angle before he pushes on up. No players in yellow stairs, though, means they have completely forfeited that to the ninjas, who will now push all the way into bathroom. A couple of shots will ring out onto the soft wall, so Psycho knows that his position was at least spotted, but nothing will be able to connect with him other than a C4 from Spawns from down below. Pino, though, will get the trade onto Spawns, keeping things at a 4v4. As the Ninjas Pajamas have about half the round to go. Muzzy will get another pick onto Norden, but GCR will return in kind to Kamikaze, and he's trying to go for another onto Pino. He'll finally connect it before pulling off. And that's a 3v2 in favor of Pain Gaming, but more importantly, Diffuser has been downed on the second floor. Muzzy and Julia are going to have to try and work together to both recover Diffuser before executing onto the site, giving GCR plenty of time to rotate and join his teammates up top, which he has done at the top of Visa stairs. Revolt's just holding the long angle towards yellow stairs, and Julio inside of Visa, so they're all stacked up in Projector. The Capitao in particular could cut this entire play by the defensive side off, should the ninjas be able to read this, and indeed he's going to flame off the connector room before starting to smoke things off and jump in. And he's just going to start spraying, but he doesn't actually have Diffuser. Diffuser's in the hands of Muzzy, who's going to have to try and rotate himself in, which will be difficult, especially with Revolts getting a kill onto Julio and GCR being around yellow stairs to get the kill onto Muzzy. So despite the read from Ninjas in Pajamas that they could just hit the office side based on how the defenders had set up, they didn't have Diffusers in the office side to help on that push. Had Muzzy been in position, he could have easily pushed in and gotten probably a plant off, with Julio providing good coverage with that M249. But regardless, we've seen time and time again, NiP don't seem to be aware on the execute. And now, in their defense, that round compared to their previous rounds, they didn't have the man count necessary for an effective execute. They lost Norden and Pino down below to GCR, and that cost them. But at the same time, the thing that Ninjas in Pajamas have been good about before is their roam clear, and they neglected that. They took second floor, but they never cleared out bottom, never realized that apparently there were roamers on the bottom. Both roamers came up. Both roamers got at least one kill. Spawns with the C4 and GCR with 2 onto players down below, as well as the third on the final kill. We're going to have to see a different style of attack coming out from the Ninjas if they want to try and get 1 point from this matchup. If they play more of the same game they played on Oregon, in worst case scenario, Pain is very likely to draw. And the draw guarantees Pain 2 points, and I don't believe gives Ninjas in Pajamas a single point. We're going to see a garage defense now coming out from the side of Pain Gaming. So if anything, this is probably the easiest for Ninjas in Pajamas to make up for their fault of having poor executes, considering there's not a lot of complex strategy that goes into a garage execute. Smoke and plant behind white fan. Simple as. Obviously, I hyperbole, but at the same time, Garage takes in this game has some of the most straightforward execution. What it comes down to is your proper clear in the time leading up to that so that you can safely. And Ninjas in Pajamas, minus that last round, have proven themselves effective at such clears. So this could play to their strengths. But it's only going to be one round, and they need to get 3. Yellow Stairs will get Claymored off by Julio to prevent any potential runouts to Thermite. But they don't actually have a Thatcher on the board, which means these bandit batteries could be a little bit more difficult to remove than might otherwise be. Castle will lose his protection of his castle barricade as Muzzy starts to try and ingress and clear him out. And Cycle will get the first kill onto GCR. FK1 will give away his position by firing out some shots outside as he tries to just hold on to this connector room in front of bathroom. Give his team second floor control for as long as possible. Spawns will contest the window from down below through a very long angle and take a lot of damage in the process. Pino at less than half health, so this could still go either way, and it will as Spawns gets the headshot. He only has 1 health himself, but nevertheless, taking care of the buck before he can open up piano is huge. Julio will confirm that kill with a quick firebolt. Not a lot that had to be done to finish off the bandit, but nevertheless, finishing him off is great for the side of Ninjas in Pajamas, as they now will start to open up those garage panels. Losing the buck, though, means that they can't open up the piano as much as they might have otherwise wanted. And we've seen how effective that was for Pain Gaming when they were able to achieve the vertical control they wanted on. And speaking of time, a little over a minute left for Ninjas in Pajamas to start this execute. The roamer of Castle is still trapped upstairs, so they're likely going to be holding angles to prevent him from rotating in back safely. But his own castle barricades are going to actually work against him as he now goes all the way upstairs. So it's ultimately down to Norden and Revolts to hold the site for the remaining 50 seconds. FK1 is going to open up above, which will prompt one attacker from Ninjas in Pajamas to at least watch that angle in case the castle peaks. But it looks like he's thought better of it and pushed away. Julio's going to fire in some shots, taking Revolts very low on health, as he now starts to smoke off the positioning of the Mira and the Meister. Julio will trade back Revolts after he kills Muzzy, and Psycho will kill the castle playing up above, and Julio follows up with another kill onto Norden. And Ninjas in Pajamas, despite stalling out a bit on their execute once again, are ultimately able to collect the round. But can they prove that on the rest of the sites? Because keep in mind, again, garage attacks are probably the easiest for a team to execute on. And once again, there was just a bit of slow execute. And it looks like communication isn't entirely there, as Julio, the time when his teammates push in is the moment he's off of that angle, giving Revolts a free kill that he could have potentially followed up with another onto Julio should he have then snapped over to the Capitão's position. So they're playing almost a bit too loose, and it doesn't look like the communication is really going through. Obviously, we don't have access to their comms. Maybe they had perfect comms, but they look uncoordinated at the very least on these executes. That's what's been costing them. Their teammates have just kind of been pushing in by themselves without the adequate coverage that they were expecting and wanting. However, Pain Gaming will go back to Garage, which gives Ninjas in Pajamas another chance to have a bit of a sloppier execute. I'm sure they're more than happy about that. Julio and Psycho leading the charge with 10 kills apiece. By far the most consistent players of Ninjas in Pajamas, Julio in particular, this match. GCR going for an early spawn peek, and he's going to light up Julio a bit, but only ultimately do about 1 bullet's worth of damage before he starts his own retreat back down. But he is wise enough to not push all the way down yellow stairs, as a player can often be holding that angle. FK1 will once again have his castle setups to try and hold out in the bathroom area to deny pushes into piano. We're actually going to be seeing the Maverick being run by ninjas in pajamas this time around. This will make bandit tricking nigh impossible, but it doesn't even look like they're necessarily going for a bandit trick denial. We're going to be seeing the trick from Maverick where you can open up a garage just by turning it into a giant softball. In fact, I didn't realize Ninja's Pajamas have not ran the Thermite. They're just going to be doing, yeah, they're just going to Maverick up. So, in case you weren't aware, Maverick, should you draw 2 perfect lines on a reinforced wall, it will destroy the reinforcements in between it, and it'll turn the wall into a soft wall. That comboed with Pino's Buck is going to allow for Ninjas in Pajamas to open up garage without the need of a Thermite. And you can see he has now successfully opened up the wall as much as his team wanted, and garage will now be opened up. Especially with the bandit on the board, that is probably a more efficient way of doing so without having to rely on having a Thatcher. Of course, it is a bit risky and less safe, but it ends up working out for Pain Gaming, and they are for Ninjas in Pajamas, and they are now droning out and finding the position of Norden playing the Valkyrie behind White Van. However, both the Flame Bolt and the Grenade will not connect, allowing the Valkyrie of Norden to survive even longer. And the other nade from Pino will once again not connect. So, Ninja's Pajamas not really clearing out anything early on means that they're going to still be in this difficult situation when they go for their 5v5 execute, because they have not shown a lot of strength on the execute. GCR won't make things any easier as he gets the kill onto Kamikaze and drops Diffuser outside. Julia pushes up to kill Norden, so their refrag is in position, but Spawns will quickly trade back Julia. Pino will land a kill onto Spawns, but FK1 takes down Psycho, and Revolts will take down Muzzy, and FK1 will get another kill onto Pino, and Pain Gaming will win their next garage defense. Ninjas in Pajamas full strike through the garage is not paying off, as the defenders could just play their angles from behind and cut down the attackers one by one. A bold approach from the ninjas that round, as the one thing they've been decent at in this matchup has been their roam clear and their pinches and their trades. They've gotten good man advantages by early pinches and roam clear and map control. And then they've struggled on the executes and lost rounds. So it makes it curious that Ninjas in Pajamas elected on that last attack to focus on the thing that they aren't great at, the execute, and essentially go for a full 5v5 execute, and they got gunned down in the process. Sure, there were a couple picks here and there. They were able to fight for trades for a little bit, but a 5v5 execute is still not safe to be in. Now, maybe they were confident in their gunfights, because those kinds of executes do come down to, if you're winning your gunfights, you win that execute. Because all you have to do is, win one extra gunfight than expected in those trade fights. But it's such a huge risk. And speaking of huge risks, Julia will get spawn peaked once again, being already brought down to half health. And Gaming just not giving Ninjas a chance to rest and recover their breath. We are seeing a similar admin hold thanks to the mirror that we saw employed by the Ninjas in Pajamas up top. And GCR just trying to roam around as the Jaeger and be as much of a nuisance as can be, peeking every external window available to him. I believe that's the third window we've seen the Jaeger peek thus far, if not the fourth. Oh, and Julio getting an easy kill onto Norden, who decides to go for that late round reinforce to seal off yellow stairs. A peculiar decision considering that that angle is always going to be exposed to Skylight, and there's probably going to be a player watching Skylight. So I'm not entirely sure what the smoke was trying there, but losing the smoke early on, it's a very good position for Ninjas in Pajamas to be in. That's a high utility, especially late game operator. And he's also the biggest detriment to your executes, to your pushes. And that's what NiP has struggled with the most. So by being able to pick him off, perhaps they can actually get another successful execute off to at least bring this match to match point. To guarantee that Pain Gaming gets denied at least 1 point. And Julio's going to take that even further as he gets the kill onto FK1. Pino tries to land the shots onto GCR, but is unsuccessful, so he tags in Kamikaze, who will get the kill, but Spawns will be there to trade him back. Pino abandoning his teammate on the yellow stairs. As Spawns pushes up, he sees Psycho and is able to get the kill. Well, not quite yet, but he'll finally get it with the Deagle, but he has next to no health in the process. Psycho uncharacteristically just being caught unawares, leaving Revolts and Spawns in a 2v3 as the execute of Ninjas should be inevitable in these next 40 seconds. Pino unwisely abandoning his teammate of Kamikaze is what allowed Spawns to escape with his life and potentially detrimental on the rest of the round. And we're now going to see Spawns jump out, but to no avail as there's no one playing on the windows. He does know that there's most likely a player set up inside of yellow stairs, and that'll be Muzzy, who'll gun him down and take the match for Ninjas in Pajamas to match point. Hino, meanwhile, getting the kill on Revolts, so making up for abandoning his teammate early on. See here, Kamikaze, he gets that kill that had been entrusted to him, but because he abandoned his teammate, he just gets traded off. Spawns gets to just free roam here. Spawns just making the wrong play by that run out and easily shut down by Muzzy. He was attempting to deny a potential play on the windows, expecting that someone from Ninjas would be playing on said windows and likely going for an execute soon, but that's a position we've seen Julio play the most on the Capitao because it is such a power position for the Capitao. But nevertheless, that was to no avail, and Pain will find themselves locked out of the full 3 points as Ninjas in Pajamas seeks to try and bring this to a 7-5 or 7-4 scoreline and guarantee themselves 1 point in this matchup. Nevertheless, this is a huge blow to both teams as Pain is once again fighting to stay out of auto relegation, and Ninjas in Pajamas are fighting to make it to LAN. Neither team wants to walk away from this matchup with just a single point, but especially true for the Ninjas, who, again, their matches do not get any easier than this. They're already coming off of a hard loss to Liquid, which denied them their LAN run. Keep in mind, had they won that match against Liquid, they would be at Milan right now. They would have qualified in as the 2nd seed to Milan. Losing that match was what denied them the ability to go to Milan. And they did not lose that by a close scoreline. That was a rough defeat. So that's going to be mentally weighing on the players in Ninja Pajamas as they're now trying to fight their way into another LAN spot. Pino will start things off well by once again taking down Norden, who has just lost his life so early on so many times while playing on an operator like Smoke. You do not want to be losing that early on, but especially not against the Ninjas, who have just been struggling on their executes, and the best player to make that struggle even worse is a Smoke. GCR, though, will trade one onto Psycho, but Pino will get another kill onto Spawns, keeping man advantage in the side of Ninjas Pajamas. FK1 off on an island by himself inside of Visa, so he's likely going to be called to rotate back soon, and it looks like he is indeed doing that to try and get to Projector, as GCR continues to deny this window, knowing that he cannot give the Ninjas an inch if they want to win the round. Pings will go out on the Meister Camp's position, so Muzzy is called in to deal with that with his impact grenade of the Zofia lifeline. And that's going to be half the utility of the Meister gone, but Muzzy will forget which set he was on. A bit of a shaky showing there from the Zofia. as GCR will now just have to play inside of the connector room between the two sites to try and deny this window push. Plenty of time available to the ninjas right now, as they will now attempt to do what they struggle with the most, execute onto the site and get some sort of a plant off. Smoke grenades will go out to block off the line of sight of GCR, and the flames and the grenades and everything will just make the Doc's life extremely difficult. He's unable to connect the shots through the wall, and Julio will gun down FK1 as he tries to go for the Nitro Cell. Plant goes down pretty easily. Julio will get another onto GCR, and Julio with a third onto Revolts to clean things up for the Ninjas, who will walk away from this matchup with 1 point, thanks to winning things out. Now is the point where I can check Liquipedia for you guys and let you know what the scores are inside of BR6. So I will now do that. But this match is, again, not a situation that either team wanted. It will put the Ninjas temporarily into the 3rd place position, but keep in mind that INTZ and Black Dragons, INTZ being tied with them and Black Dragons only being 1 point away, have not played their matchup just quite yet. Biggest advantage going for Ninjas in Pajamas is that even though those two teams are right on their heels, those two teams are facing Immortals and Liquid, which are going to be extremely difficult matchups for their opponents, so they might actually hold on to this lead. But this was probably the best week for them to try and grow it, so that it would be less than a game for the enemy to catch up. Their opponents to catch up. Pain Gaming, though, will now be 4 points away from the auto-relegation spot, which is currently occupied with the Red Devils, who are at 3 points only. So, while not the outcome that they necessarily would have wanted, it is the outcome they're going to have to live with now, as we are gearing up for the final few rounds of BR6. The other half of this round's matches will be in 5 days on May 5th, so this coming Sunday. And then after that, we only have 3 more rounds. Everything will be wrapped up by July 7th. We're going to have a break after the May 12th games for the Milan teams to really be able to have some time to themselves, as they will be in Milan on that next weekend, the 18th and the 19th. And then after that, they're going to want to rest and recover, and we'll start back up on June 9th. So, to summarize that, May 5th, we have Black Dragons versus Immortals, followed by Liquids and INTZ. I will hopefully be around to cast that one live. Same with the May 12th matches, which I should hopefully be around for, which will be Ninjas in Pajamas versus Faze and Pain versus Liquid. And then we have a break till June 9th, which is INTZ and Black Dragons, and Red Devils versus Immortals. And then we will be weekly from that point on till July 7th, which is our final set of matches for round 14 before playoffs. So I hope you join me for those. I've enjoyed casting this, and I hope I get better and better. As always, give me any feedback you might have, YouTube comments, Twitch whispers, Reddit DMs, whatever it is. I look forward to seeing and hearing from you guys and improving my casting as I try and bring this BR6 matches to you and other matches more and more frequently. I might do some casts of other games and just put those on my channel for your enjoyment, but those will probably have English streams. I'm not sure how much you guys will care about those, but the BR6 games in particular will definitely be going on my streams. But yeah, that's all. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Adios.